I don't think West Coast play or training conditions this cold, David. I don't know if that's a factor, but this is a very cold night.
I reckon they'll warm up quickly.
So here we go. Jolly and Naitanui to start things here at the MCG. And it's Naitanui winning the first tap down to Scott Selwood. Kicks it out wide to the southern half-forward flank. Getting there first for the Eagles was Shuey. Hand passes back to Waters. Now to Hearn. Hearn from the wing. Kicks to Pritis, who'll mark it right half-forward. Wheels onto his left. Immediately kicking it inside 50. Hill in the pack for the Eagles. Can't collect. Therefore, Collingwood was Buckley, who was held without possession of the football. He gets the free kick and he plays on immediately. Hand passing to Swan in the corridor. Flares it wide to Ben Reid, back in the side this week. And he slows things down. Flat kick towards the members' wing. He wanted Clark, but Naitanui cuts it off. Hand passes to Brown. Inside 50 goes Mitch Brown. Jolly, probably best position there. Tried to spoil instead. Darling there for the Eagles. Coming out though Collingwood with O'Brien. Hand passing to Thomas, who kicks it out wide to Beams.
Been very prolific, Beams, in recent weeks. Got tackled. Handballs back to Thomas. Now to O'Brien. Has West Coast players around him, but he turns 2 or 3 inside out. Switching towards the MCC members' side. Goldsack gets on his bike. Marks on his chest. Handballs to Swan. Delivers over the top. And the mark taken on the wing by Jared Blair. In front of McGinnity. And he kicks now to Fasolo. MCC members' side. They're heading to the city end, the Pies. He kicks inside 50. Dawes, good use of the body. Too much strength for Glass, which is saying something. One of the strongest defenders in the competition, Darren Glass. Chris Dawes, who's had a fairly poor year this year. He's at right half forward. Kicked 4 goals, 10 so far in 2012.
Well, Chris and I are looking at each other. That was an exceptional mark in the circumstances. Glass is probably the hardest to move, I would have thought, in the competition. Probably all Australian fullback. Dawes has been struggling. He did enough body work just to provide sufficient space at the drop zone to take the mark. That was outstanding.
Right behind this kick. He needs a goal for his confidence. It's looking pretty good, but it just veers away at the last minute. Couldn't squeeze home. First score to Collingwood are behind on Grandstand AFL. West Coast yet to score. We've played a couple of minutes.
Cox has started in the forward pocket. Obviously, Naitanui, who got up and hit it long for the first one. Right over the top and into a space. I reckon that was a really good pre-game plan.
And it does look, guys, that Dane Swan is running around by himself. He could get plenty of the footy this afternoon. Hearn goes out to the southern side. There's a big marking contest. Off hands, it's gone out of play. Do we know where Scott Selwood's gone yet? Has he gone to Thomas, or is it still early to try and sort it out?
I think it's a bit early yet.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on that one. Scott Selwood, one of the premier defensive midfielders in the competition. From the throw-in, there's a scrimmage at the top of the 50 for Collingwood, and the umpire waits and decides to call for a ban.
Look, we got this wrong in the game. We've got to stop it quicker and throw it up. There's got to be a real change made. It's ridiculous. We're wearing young blokes' bodies out who are going to have lesser careers, in my opinion. Got to get the game going.
Jolly wins the tap. Naitanui sharks it, though, for the Eagles. Kicks towards the southern wing. Good kick, and Darling marks on his chest. Darling, close to the boundary. Goes down the line with the kick. Ben Reid reads it well. Marston jumped into him. Free kick to the Collingwood defender. Inboard hand pass to Clark. Kicks to the middle. Good transition here from the Magpies with Dawes marking in the middle. He goes out wide. Wants Cloak. Out in front of the MCC members. Good defensive work there by the Eagles defence. Led on that occasion by Eric McKenzie. It's gone out for a boundary throw-in right half forward for Collingwood. It's 1 point the Magpies. Eagles yet to score after 4 minutes.
Yeah, look, Collingwood look up and about. Contested ball win, zoning back well. Good ball movement.
Boundary throw-in. There's going to be a free kick. Collingwood's way. Beams. Everyone stopped. He didn't. On the advantage. That's unfair. Everyone stopped. Even Beams looked around after he heard the whistle. Told to keep going dead. Eagles were flat-footed. And Beams kicks the goal from 45. The Pies are 1-1-7. West Coast yet to score.
Had they tackled him and held him up, might have been given 50 metres. I can't work that out. Dan, I think your call was exactly right. It was too long, too late, and too many had stopped. That couldn't have been an advantage. Advantage for the bloke with the ball. He got it in the finish, but a disadvantage for everybody else. That's not right.
Pendlebury's out. Beams has stepped up to the plate. Someone should have stopped him getting the ball in the first place. And one thing we know about Beams is an outstanding kick for goal. But his ability around the clearances to fill the void created by Luke Ball and Scott Pendlebury has been outstanding. He has really gone up a couple of rungs.
Jolly and Cox this time in the ruck. Cox wins it down for the Eagles. Shuey charges in, crashes in, splits the pack. Ball at loose though. Wellingham tunnel balls it out towards Beams. Hand pass to Thomas. Left foot kick towards the top of the square. Holding each other was Cloak and McKenzie. Slaps out towards Glass. He collects. The hand pass is okay to Brennan, but he's immediately tackled over the boundary. Good work there by Travis Cloak. There'll be a throw in 40 out from Collingwood's goal.
Well, one thing we do know about playing on the road, the breaking point can be quite short, and they're under extreme pressure, the West Coast Eagles.
Cox wins it down. Jolly the secondary tap. Fresh air shot there from Waters. In support there was Rosa. He's kicked it straight to Fasolo, who's marked 55 out straight in front. Now, Alex will think he can kick it from here. He's got one of the biggest legs on him in the competition when it comes to distance.
And a big head to go with it.
You said that, not me.
Good Adelaide boy.
Here we go for Solo. Let's fly. It's long. It's very long. Of course he's kicked the goal. 2 to the Magpies. Alex Fasolo says to his teammates, how good was that? 6 minutes into the opening quarter, it is Collingwood 2-1-13. The Eagles yet to score.
I don't know whether Chrissy backed. I didn't back off after he kicked it, but I'd seen where the ball went, and I looked back at him. He was inside the inside the centre square.
It was a 55 to 60 metre kick. It was a magnificent kick. Alex Fasolo was a great recruit for Collingwood Football Club, dominated in the midfield for the Adelaide Bombers and the Western Australian state team. They fell into this kid. I don't know what the knock was on him, but he fell out to about the third round. He will eventually make his way into the midfield. So they've got a queue of guys that can play in the midfield, and it's all good signs for Collingwood.
Good Kenny recruiting. That's why Collingwood are near the top. Cox two-hands it down. He may have got one over the shoulder. It's pretty hard to get him over the shoulder. Swan then is dragged into tackle and is penalised when he was making the play. Frittis a hand pass to Kerr. Tries to get out of a tackle. The hand pass was no good while being tackled, and Swan sockers it away towards the boundary on the Great Southern stand side. Goes after it again. His second effort outstanding. That's why he's one of the best midfielders in the competition. Always imposes himself on contests. Boundary throw in. Collingwood just slightly attacking side of the wing on the Great Southern stand side. Jolly wins his own footy. Handballs to Shaw back in the side today. Quick give now to Thomas in the long sleeves. Runs away and then sweeps the hand pass out of the traffic to Wellingham. Had it run down. Back to Thomas. To side bottom of numbers everywhere. To Maxwell. Bangs a kick inside 50. Cloak out of position. Gets a good bounce. Cloak should run into an open goal and does. He got the bounce. Mitch Brown, Nathan's twin brother, didn't. That helped Cloak. 3-1-19 to nothing. What a start by the Pies at the MCG on Grandstand AFL.
Amazing thing in this game, if you're running into goal, the normal 15 becomes about 25 for you, as long as you're going to kick a goal. And then if he ran that distance in the middle of the ground, Cloak, and he ran to kick the ball, a lot of the West Coast supporters here are very annoyed. He took 9 steps at about 1.5 metres per step.
And maybe a push in the back it was a push in the back, two hands in the back to get the ball.
Yeah, look, very lucky. Maxwell's kick inside forward 50 wasn't that great, but the bounce over the head and Cloak runs into an open goal, but they're causing midfield turnover. That's why they're dominating the game, Collingwood.
Nat Nui and Jolly in the ruck again. It's the secondary work there from Jolly, getting the hand pass away to Beams, and now a high kick from Fasolo out towards the wing. Big pack. Big clash. Goldsat winning really hard. Crumso to Marston out on the members' wing. Inboard hand pass to Pritis. Under pressure. Turns it over. Straight to Beams. Hand pass to Swan. Pokes a kick and it's a really good one. And the mark's been taken by Elliott. In front of the interchange gate wing. Oh, he's kicked it straight into McGinnity, who is the man on the mark. And as a result, it goes out of play.
Well, I think, you asked the question. I think Selwood's actually trying to track Beams.
Yeah, I agree.
Trying to cut him out of it, but that's the task.
Throw in, just forward of the wing for the Magpies members side. Nat Nui, clever little tap towards Shuey. Hurries a kick towards half forward, bashing it further on was Hill. Now left half forward for the Eagles. Reid collects for Collingwood. Dangerous kick back into the corridor, but it's a good one. Nathan Brown takes it. Kick was a little quick and a little rush, but it's okay to Buckley. Oh no, Buckley's turned it over. Hand passed it straight to Kerr. Gets the hand pass to Lynch. Inside 50. Darling, the ball won't sit for him. Close to the line, it's gone out. Right half forward for a throw-in. 40 metres around from the Eagles' goal. It's Collingwood 19. The Eagles yet to score after 10.
Very lucky the West Coast Eagles.
Always hearts in mouths when Simon Buckley gets it as far as Collingwood's concerned. Dawes taps it down towards half back. Blair puts the body on the line. Dawes waiting outside. Still inside defensive 50 at the punt road end. As usual, the umpires let it go for an eternity. And then they bounce it. The umpires today, one of the best in the business, Brett Roseberry, Matt Stevick and Robert Finlay. Bounce at half back for the Pies. Natanui the tap. Kerr goes to ground in game 199. Gets a free kick. Game 198, I should say.
How good is Natanui's ruck work, though?
Handballs to Lynch. The big fella from 60 and he's 200. Hits the post. He was the right man to take that at right half forward on the great Southern stand side. Gave it everything. Didn't miss by much. The Eagles on the board with a behind. Collingwood a 3-1-19 at the 11-minute mark.
Short kick in from Buckley, straight to Reid. It's just a 20-metre kick into the corridor. As Reid settles things down, they go the southern side. The kick was okay on the bounce as they work it again through Beams with a hand pass. Out wide to Nathan Brown near the boundary. Long kick towards the southern wing. McKenzie there and a good fist as well by Mitch Brown, finding the boundary at centre wing on the southern side. It's a pretty big crowd. As Tim Hodges said, they were coming in late, so I reckon there'd have to be at least 60,000. Which is a big crowd for this twilight fixture. Dawes wins the tap against Natanui. Beams again tracking the ball close to the boundary. Hand passes to Fasolo, who's dispossessed and out of play as we go down to Tim Hodges at groundside.
Yeah, just on that, Whitey, I was thinking 50,000 at the bounce of the ball. I would think it would be over 60,000, and just remarkable how many West Coast fans are here. A lot of people over from Perth.
Yeah, they love it. Blair wins it from the contest, beats a couple of tackles, a hand pass to Beams. Blazes a kick inside 50, another bad bounce for the Eagles. Comes out the side bottom, right foot snap, it's an open goal. It's got to bounce better, it doesn't. Behind at the city end, 3-2-20 Collingwood. West Coast to behind, 12 minutes in.
Chris, can I make the comment you said about Fasolo? I had no idea he's played basically as a forward. Rarely but I've seen him up in the midfield. He's been used today as a genuine midfield option.
Hearn works it out to Shepherd, who marks it right half back. He goes short. And it's Brennan who takes the next mark in the chain as they work the southern side. Slow build up here. Brennan will go back inboard to Hearn, who again looks into the corridor for the next kick, but there's no one really offering. So Hearn will be forced to kick long. Down towards the southern wing. Natanui sets himself. He gets to the front and he marks it. Terrific mark there from Natanui, who is marked right out near the boundary on the southern side. Now there's actually a free kick, and it's going to be a West Coast free kick to Ashton Hams, who was collected before that mark was taken. So no real advantage, but no disadvantage at the same time. Hand pass to Hearn. Hearn under pressure. Hand passing to Gaff. He gets it back close to the boundary. He kicks to just outside the 50, and Quinton Lynch takes the mark close to the boundary. So they've tracked that southern boundary the whole way down. And now Lynch will have, it looks like a shot for goal from outside the 50.
And you do end up on a different angle and a lot further out than when you play at Patterson Stadium in Perth.
So Quinton Lynch, it's hard to actually spot from the crowd. He's so far away from the play as he kicks very long. It won't quite make the distance. Up go the players and it goes down. The ball trickles through for a minor score off hands. It's West Coast second score of the afternoon. They're two behinds. Collingwood 3-2-20 after 13 minutes.
That's the one that kills me. It continues to do it. You know what you're capable of doing. That had to be out in front of 10 so you can get a second play on the ball.
Buckley in short, the Dawes to Swan. Streaming around the boundary. Great southern stand side. He pinpoints young Elliott, has shown plenty in his early part of his league career. His foot pass is exquisite too to Blair inside.
Two littlest blokes on the field kicking it to each other.
Still on the MCC members wing.
Yep.
And Blair kicks towards right half forward. They're taking a good strong mark. Quinton Lynch, what's he doing down there at half back? He threads off a hand pass to McKenzie, who kicks towards the wing. Mark was dropped by Jolly, but at the full he roves to Beams, gives it to side bottom, wobbles it on the left. Free kick to Goldsack. That was loose play by Rosa. Goldsack had to sit. Rosa manhandled him poorly, did not disguise it whatsoever. Goldsack's inside the centre square, with the Pies leading by 18 points at the 14-minute mark.
But he is capable, isn't he?
I was going to say, Goldsack is another one of Collingwood's really long kickers.
Pumper, well within his range.
I reckon it's a bit closer than what Fasolo was. And 15 metres right of centre. Now this one's out to the right. It hangs out wide and through for a minor score. So Collingwood 3-3-21. Goldsack getting the distance comfortably from 60. West Coast 2 behinds. Dane Beams, Scott Selwood is certainly playing on him. Beams already up to 9 disposals. We're only halfway through this opening quarter. It's an extraordinary start to one of the hottest plays in the...
He's averaging nearly 30 a game this year. Hearn to the outer side now for the West Coast Eagles. And there's the aforementioned Scott Selwood. Handballs to Rosa, hugging the boundary around the Great Southern stand side to Shepherd. He also hooks cleverly around his body and finds Frittis. Kicks inside now. Lynch is covering a lot of ground. He takes the mark. He handballs now to Kerr. Kerr hugging the boundary again. 55 out long to fall forward. Ham stands his ground, can't mark it. Then when the ball hits the ground, he snaps a lovely goal. Eagles on the board. Their first goal at the Punt Road end, 1-2-8. Collingwood 3-3-21 at the 15-minute mark.
Look, I think we saw why Shannon Hearn is such an important player to the West Coast Eagles. The kick in from fullback in the first quarter was an outstanding kick. It travelled 60 metres straight to Scott Selwood. I think in terms of Scott Selwood, I think he's starting to evolve into his own player now, David. I think West Coast are going to have to find another shutdown player. I think, and that's what you want. I think he's going to evolve into a bona fide midfielder player himself, and the contested ball win by Hams close to goal was an outstanding effort too. So, you know, really fluent ball movement to score their first 6 points.
He was there for about 20 seconds in the goal square, no one near him, and a couple of seconds later he wouldn't have got that chance. Back in the middle, Cox jumps early, wins the tap almost to Selwood, but Thomas got a little hand in there. Now the kick up towards Wellingham, who got crashed into. Marley Williams, he gets tackled as well. Good, hard, honest football from both teams. There'll be a bounce, front right corner of the square for Collingwood. 21-8. The Magpies in front at the 17-minute mark. Bounce of the ball. One down by Jolly. Spills out to the back of the contest. Swan grabs it. Hand passes to Maxwell. Got a little bit of time. He kicks towards the pocket. He wanted Dawes, who was hopelessly outnumbered. The ball trickles to the back of the pack and goes over. There'll be a throw in 25 around from Collingwood's goal right forward pocket.
So the Pies deep into attack. West Coast have settled though after the early onslaught. Cox, the big punch. It's roved though by Wellingham. Has a flying shot from 30 metres out and just misses to the left-hand side. And the Pies have another behind. They're 3-4-22. West Coast 1-2-8. Hodgie.
Dan, this has got nothing to do with the footy, but there's the most magnificent rainbow down the Punt Road end of the ground. It's about the best looking rainbow I've ever seen. Just one on the footy. Trevor's Cloak, I thought he ran off pretty comfortably, but had his left knee looked at by the physio for about 2 minutes, guys, but he's ready to come back on.
Apparently a pretty good one last night too, Whitey.
You were listening to the ABC this morning.
I was.
Yes.
I was waiting to do a cross. That's how I heard it.
Trying to work out where it rose from and where it's settled and all that sort of stuff.
A couple of short passes now. Brown has to kick long towards the southern wing. Darling up, couldn't mark. Front and centre Kerr. Good little kick out of the congestion, and the Eagles are away. Hams marks it. Hand passes to Cox running past. Long kick towards full forward. Shepherd's the man. Oh, terrific mark, Shepherd. 20 metres out, straight in front. He jumped early. He had a real lot of pressure on him from behind, but he was able to hold on to the mark, and he'll kick for goal.
Oh, Adam, you called that. That was a terrific mark. He actually went across the face. He pinched the ball prior to it arriving at the big fellas in the pack. It was just a remarkable, skillful and courageous effort.
Brad Shepherd to the Punt Road end to kick the Eagles' second goal. He's got it. And the Eagles have settled. 2-2-14 to Collingwood, 3-4-22. The first 3 goals to the Magpies, the next 2 to the Eagles. We've played 19 minutes Saturday twilight footy from the MCG.
Now, I don't want to harp on about the Adelaide Bombers, but that was my club back in Perth, and there's 3 Adelaide Bombers boys out there: Alex Fasolo, Sherrod Wellingham and Brad Shepherd. Now, Brad played in the Premiership. I was assistant coach of the under-16s. Brad played fullback for the Western Australian state team. They didn't have a very tall team, but he can play midfield. He can play centre half back, centre half forward. Played the majority of his junior footy with Wesley College and Adelaide at centre half forward. He can mark. He's going to be a sensational AFL player. Beautiful disposer of the ball. Good pick at number 7 for the West Coast Eagles.
Yet another East Fremantle product. I think there's more than 30, Chris, on the list of AFL clubs this year. It's amazing. Side bottom and Thomas try and combine. Thomas's kick is partially smothered and Kurgis bounces off them like a pinball machine. Kicks around the body. No one can mark. Maxwell did well to come across and rove it and then get a hand pass to Nathan Brown, who hooks around the body. It's fisted away by young Brennan, Jacob Brennan for the Eagles. Towards the half-forward flank on the outer side. He then arrives to lay a tackle and his teammate support. Produce a nice give under pressure to Shuey. Kicks West Coast to Natanui. Punched away by Reid. Then he lost it at ground level. Natanui tried to flick a hand pass out. 20 out from the Eagles goal. Comes out to Thomas. Look away hand pass. Clever to Wellingham under the pump. Then they get another hand pass through Tooby. Blair, he's wrapped up in a tackle at half-back. It's pretty tough. Eagles have now got an appetite for the contest. We're on the MCC members' side. There'll be a bounce. They trail by 8 points on Grandstand AFL into time on opening turn.
Left half forward for the Eagles, kicking down to the punt road end. Cox wins the tap down. Shuey almost actually shooted off the ground close to the line. Then he's tackled over by Blair for a throw-in right in front of Tim Hodges. Hodgie, is it actually starting to rain?
It is. The paramedics behind me who drive the golf cart have said there's no rain on the radar at all. Well, I'm putting them on warning because there's very light drizzle falling at the MCG for the first time.
Jolie tries to get a kick from the congestion from that throwing, collected by Hams. Hand pass to Hearn of the Eagles to McGinnity. Good work in close. Rosa gets the hand pass to Mitch Brown. Rush kick to a 2-on-1 against Collingwood with the numbers. The spoils come. Hams, no. Ricochet straight to Marley Williams of Collingwood. He's kicked forward to the wing. Again under pressure. Glass marks for the Eagles. Hand pass to McKenzie. And the Eagles can load up from half-back.
That's not a good kick. Clean bowls Cox and tidied up by Marley Williams. He has a bounce. Kicks in the Travis Cloak direction. Glass got a hand on it. Spills to the back. It's in the goal square. The 3-time All-Australian pounces for West Coast. Runs out of room as he handballed to Shannon Hearn, who got cornered by Goldsack, who's playing a defensive forward role on him. It'll be a boundary throw-in.
You're like me. You like calling him Marley Williams rather than just Williams. There's something about that Marley.
Yes, the rock singer. Boundary throw-in tapped down by Jolly. Here's an opportunity for Shuey. He can't pick it up. He's hotly pressed by Blair. Still at half-back for West Coast. Now he gets it off the edge of the boot. Luke Shuey towards the wing. Darling's there. Had it knocked away by Reid. Good contest. Boundary throw-in. Reid coming off for a rest. Collingwood by 8 points. 22 into the opening turn.
Just forward to the wing for Collingwood. They kick the first 3, the Magpies, but the Eagles with the next 2. From the throw-in, again it's an Eagles ball. Gaff hurries a kick round the body, bouncing back to the wing. Collected though by Maxwell of Collingwood. Kicks towards centre half forward. Dawes. He'll get a free kick, held without possession of the footy against Glass. And Dawes will take it inside the centre square.
Just changed the dynamic a bit. Having the moisture just for this last 2 minutes has just unsettled a few players.
Dawes, he'll spread it very wide to the southern side to O'Brien. Will he take on Hill on the mark? He will. And he runs to 60 and he gives it everything he's got. And he's kicked it. No, he hasn't. Right on the line. It was touched through by Mitch Brown. And only a minor score. That would have lit up the MCG. The Magpies 3-5, the Eagles 2-2 after 23 minutes.
So Hearn, there's a beautiful kick of the footy to the MCC members' side. Hams, one of the smallest men out there, will be the target. And he outmarks Clark from behind. Handballs to the free running Gaff on the MCC members' side. He kicks nicely to the big Q stick Lynch. Attacking side of the wing. Approaching left half forward. Kicks into the pocket. Darling was tunnelled by Harry O'Brien, who has an issue when he plays one-on-one. He knocked away from Darling. Didn't need to give away the free kick. Thought he'd won the contest, but did anyway. And Jack Darling with the free kick at half forward in front of the Olympic stand. So Darling, 21 goals this year, kicked a goal every match. From 55, it's coming back. It's a good effort. Not quite enough. A couple of metres out, Collingwood have defenders that whack it through for a behind. And the lead is 8 points again. West Coast 2-3-15. Collingwood a 3-5-23.
Side bottom with a quick kicking to Maxwell, who's in a little bit of trouble here. Has to hand pass to side bottom running past. caught on his left foot, kicking back towards the wing towards Dawes. Off hands and Eagles footy, no. Ricochets back into the field of play somehow to Dawes, who looks up, hand passes inboard towards Elliott, now to side bottom again. He hand passes it to himself. Now it's coming back. There's a free kick, a Collingwood free kick, and it looks like it's going to Elliott on the AFL logo. Side bottom was playing with himself there with the footy through the congestion. And now it's Elliott. From the southern side, he'll kick all the way back to centre half, back to Nathan Brown, who plays on, and he'll spread it to the members' side. Now, the ball's hanging in the air here for Clark, but he's still good enough to take the mark one-on-one with Gaff. Back into the corridor. Mark taken by Heath Shaw back into the side this evening. No players behind him, and he's at the back right corner of the square. So he also spreads it to Maxwell's southern side. They go from one side to the other. Now the kick towards Goldsack inside 50. Crumbs to Elliott. Hand passes to Blair. Defensive hand pass wanted side bottom, but it's cut off by Priddis. Hand pass to Marston, back to Priddis.
Priddis away. Sweeps the hand pass towards hands. He had to wait there, but he took it. Shook off tackles back to Priddis to Shuey. Didn't see his opponent short coming. Dispossessed of it. Collingwood with numbers. Blair pounces. They're on the attack now. Clark in the middle. Handballs to Buckley. Needs to use the ball well. Not a bad kick. Cloak couldn't mark it. Knocked to the ground. Ball still inside. Collingwood's attacking 50. Picked up by McKenzie. Handballs to Waters. Waters kicks West Coast to Lynch on the bounce. Having a good start to his 200th. Kicks them towards centre half forward. A battle between Darling and O'Brien. O'Brien sort of accidentally footed that away. Missed by Shaw. Picked up by Darling. Shows some candy. Kicks inside 50. Chance for Marston. Had it knocked away by Toovey. Marston picks up in the pocket. Handball no good. Intercepted by Shaw. Handball's now to Williams. And Marley bangs the kick to the wing, but Lynch camped underneath it for West Coast. It's frenetic on the MCC members' side. They trail by 8 points.
And from the logo, Lynch goes very long. Darling in the chop. Went back with the flight. Couldn't take the mark. Collingwood with the crumbs at ground level. Plenty of black and white jumpers working with quick hand passes. Clark and Maxwell involved. Maxwell's kick was not great, but fortuitously on the bounce. It's to Dawes. He hand passes to Buckley under pressure. Turns it over. Priddis hand pass to Gaff. Rushes a kick towards full forward. Through the hands of Darling. At the back of the pack, it's all Collingwood. And it's side bottom on his left. He finds Jolly at left half back, and Collingwood got the overlap.
He sweeps it to Beams, who's had a very good quarter, but he gets a bad bounce. Rose is in the way, but Beams tackles him. Good contest on the southern wing. Beams wins it back. That was magnificent. Goldsack under pressure was cornered. Found a way through. Kicks them inside 50. No mark taken by Cloak. Had it knocked away again. He may recover at ground level. He's tackled by Cox. Breaks the tackle. Sweeps a hand pass inside to Wellingham. His kick inside 50. On his own, Swan takes the mark. What's he doing on his own? Right forward pocket at the city end. That was exhilarating football, gentlemen.
Well, the ball's alive all the time because the halfbacks are dropping off for both teams. So you could hear Quinton Lynch marking the ball behind the play. He'd push right up the ground, and Maxwell or O'Brien or Reid would sweep off. So there's an overlap of one or two players up each end. So the ball's alive the whole time.
Slightly right of centre half forward. He's a goal kicker, Dane Swan. Gee, not on that occasion he's not.
I think he's exhausted
by a long, long way. He must be exhausted. Tim Hodges.
Yeah, Dane Swan's so clever, guys. He just came on the ground. We saw the passage of play on the outer wing and ran straight to the forward 50. That's why he was all alone.
Dangerous kick towards Marston. Jolie came late, but the mark is paid. If it wasn't a mark, it would have been a free kick to Marston, right half back at defensive 50. Marston, a little unsure where to go. So, as per normal, kicks long down the line. Wanting Cox, and he's up, and he takes the mark. And that's the siren. So a fairly short quarter going 28 minutes and 14 seconds. And it has really got that finals feel about it. Collingwood kicking the first 3 goals of the term before the Eagles answered with the next 2. And that makes it a quarter-time score of Collingwood 3-5-23 to West Coast 2-3-15. The goal kickers for Collingwood, all singles for Solo, Beams and Cloak. And for the Eagles, Shepherd and Hams. It's Collingwood by 8 points.
So terrific opening term here at the MCG. This crowd continues to build up. Collingwood by 8 points, as Adam said. They started really well. West Coast reined them in late in the term. And this is the sort of football we want between two teams in contention for the grand final and ultimately the premiership later in the year.
Said very early, you can lose your way very early and never regain it. And so what you're saying, this is a class side that can do that.
Yes.
Second quarter underway in Grandstand AFL. Collingwood by 8 points. Jolly lost that one in flight. Thomas forces a hand pass out. Beams does likewise towards Maxwell, who can't control it. Lending him support side bottom. He pumps a nice little one out towards Wellingham's. Kick was smothered. Rebounds back to Wellingham on the great southern stand side. Got harassed and goes out of bounds just behind the wing for the Pies. Beams 12 possessions. Maxwell 9 for Collingwood. Thomas 8. Priddis has had 10 for the West Coast Eagles. Boundary throwing. Lynch palms it down. Side bottom wrapped up in a Priddis tackle. And there'll be a bounce.
I've been really impressed with Jolly's positioning. Once the ball comes into play, he surges forward. That means Dean Cox has to be accountable to him. If Natanui hunts the ball, then he can be used as an overlap player forward, Jolly. Good positioning.
Nice open hand by Cox. Wellingham gets the kick smothered. Kerr then has the footy, but Wellingham tackles him. And he is penalised. How can he be penalised when really he didn't have much prior opportunity? But Collingwood free kick on the great southern stand side.
Yeah, not a great kick out towards the southern wing, or just forward of the southern wing, close to the boundary, and strength of numbers. Lots of handballs. Selwood involved, gets the hand pass. Now it comes into the centre square with Shuey. And he's spread it wide towards the members' wing, and Marston takes the mark in front of Williams. So they've worked it well, the Eagles. The kick down towards Darling, who's taken the mark at right half forward. Two good kicks out from goal. The next kick is also a good one. And the mark's been taken by Shepherd, just at the 50, but right out on the boundary at right half forward. He pops it up to the top of the square. He wants Natanui. He does crash the pack. Couldn't quite get there in time to take the mark.
Hurt himself.
Beams is there. Left foot kick from Beams towards Cloak. One-on-one with McKenzie. McKenzie with a spoil. He finds the boundary with a spoil. And you're right, Dan. Nick Natanui might be in a bit of trouble. Hodgie, what can you see from there?
I think he just smashed his face into the back of the pack, and he's taken an awful knock on his nose. So he's just having some work with the official now. He's just waved off the medico, and he's okay.
Okay, Jolly gets the tap down from the boundary, throwing to Thomas. To the wing, outnumbered was Dawes, and an easy mark taken by Shannon Hearn for the Eagles. Dead set centre wing members side. We've played 2 minutes in the second term. It's Collingwood by 8 points.
Hearn towards the half forward flank on the MCC members side. Lynch couldn't mark it, so he taps it down to Priddis, gets a hand pass through the traffic. Losing control of it, Hill. Hasn't been a factor so far. O'Brien's there, close to the boundary. And good contest. We'll see it over the line. Big Lynch had a couple to contend with. In fact, it'll be bounced. I thought it went out of bounds. It didn't. Just inside the boundary, 45 out from West Coast goal at the city end. And Cox sees it over the line. Priddis and Kerr there for West Coast. Side bottom for Collingwood. Boundary throw in 48 metres out now for the Eagles. Still behind by 8 points.
The Eagles kicking to the city end. Cox wins the tap down. Blair first there for the Magpies. Gets a little hand pass out to side bottom. Left foot snap round the body. Getting it to the wing. Meeting it on the bounce for Solo. Gets the hand pass before he was tackled by McGinnity. Wellingham's kick under pressure, not good. McKenzie chops it off. His hand pass, not good. Goldsack hand passes out to Clark. Now to Dawes. Collingwood working on the members' wing effectively. But Beams looks up. Doesn't really know where to go. So he goes long. Cloak caught out of position. Edges McKenzie out of it and does it illegally. Free kick to McKenzie.
I thought he used his body particularly well. It was a great kick by Beams to find Cloak in amongst 4 Eagles.
Free kick to McKenzie as the Eagles dodge a bullet.
And Collingwood supporters not happy, but we expect that. To Glass, now to Rosa as they switch it to the outer side. He farmed the 25-metre hand pass, Rosa, to Selwood. Now to Waters. Getting closer to the boundary on that outer side. Floats the kick towards half forward. Tooby dropped the mark. Eagles with numbers. Darling, a good give to Marston. Natanui, 45 out. Just misses to the right-hand side. Good running play around the outer side from West Coast towards the city end. 2-4-16 West Coast. Collingwood at 3-5-23.
Short kick back into play to Buckley, over the top to Maxwell. Will hand pass back to Buckley. He gets tackled by Hill. That's holding the ball. Not quick enough was Simon Buckley. And Josh Hill will take the free kick on the 50.
That's where he had his hands free. It's where you're trying to make the best use of a difficult situation. Hang on and get the hands away.
Oh, Hill's gone short, and the Eagles were lining up in the corridor. Shuey's one of those who marks just inside the 50. Now, he was going to go shorter still to Scott Selwood, who was lurking about 40 out in the corridor.
Scott Selwood wasn't watching.
Yeah, he would have got it.
To him, he would have.
So Luke Shuey coming up for possession number 7, kicking to the city end from about 48 metres out, just right of centre. He gives himself a bit of extra space and caresses the kick delightfully. It's hit the post though. Sorry, Eagles fans, it faded late and through for a minor score. So the Eagles, 2-5-17. 2 behinds in this term. Collingwood yet to score in this term, 3-5-23 after 5 minutes.
Thomas receives a handball to Brown. Back to Thomas, who kept running. Tooby at half-back now. Buckley towards Maxwell, all by hand on the MCC member side. He kicks to the wing. Falls to Swan. Got tackled. Worried out of it by McKennedy. Now Gaff has it for West Coast. On the left. Kicks them inside 50. O'Brien. Big destroy from behind. Darling in front. Nathan Brown just sagging off slightly. Was there to also assist. And it'll be thrown back into play at centre half forward for West Coast. Doing most of the attacking so far. Natanui arrives and slams it down. Then Kerr gets out of a side bottom tackle. Handballs to Pritis, is also tackled. Handball lands up with Maxwell, who charges at it. And then he's charged down from behind and sees it over the line again. Once again in front of the old Cricketers Gate, MCC member side. Boundary throw-in on attacking 50 for West Coast, who trail by a goal.
A lot of the play in this second term has been in this spot. Pritis sharks it again from the throwing. His hand pass misses Shuey, and it goes out of play. As the rain that comes, it's actually stopped now. Does it change the way the game's been played?
I'm not sure. It is frenetic, but it's not ugly, is it?
No.
You're right. It's hard to change what's habitual behaviour, though.
From the throw-in, it comes to the back. Clark, good tackle. Natanui, ball spills out, still in dispute, crashing in players from both sides. They all went low. Wellingham gets the hand pass. He hand passes it across to Swan, across to side bottom, all by hand, and now the kick from Fasolo. He wants Goldsack, coming late. McKenzie with a spoil. At ground level, it's Wellingham as a free kick, Collingwood's way advantage. And away goes Goldsack with a hand pass to Cloak. No one inside 50. Cloak keeps it low. It'll bounce through for a goal.
Jeez.
Cloak from the 50. As I said, he had no one in front of him. He eyed the goals and said, I'll have my second, thanks, and give Collingwood a 12-point lead. 4-5-29, West Coast 2-5-17, 7 gone, second term.
Just a quick analogy before you paint the picture there, David. It's like a boxer who's covered up on the ropes, getting punched up, and then opens up and goes bang, and gives him a knockout punch, because West Coast have out-muscled them for the last 10 minutes and completely against the trend there for a goal.
And so, because Collingwood was so pressed up to try and prevent some scores, that third of the ground or more opened up for Cloak, and he showed a bit of maturity there because he'd been run down. He knew he had a bit of time, but kicked it beautifully.
One of the great goals of the year.
Yeah, great goal.
26 goals for the season. Pritis leaned in. He went to ground trying to get that one. Swan snatched it away. Then chips it towards Wellingham. On the MCC members' wing, he kicks inside 50. Not a great kick for Cloak. He misses it. So does his opponent, McKenzie. Oh, it's tossed out by McKennedy. That was nearly a throw at centre half back for West Coast. 40 out from their defensive goal, and there's going to be a bounce. As good tackling by young Elliott on Luke Shuey. Had him tied up in the Eagles' defensive half. Bounce. Cox. Jolly. Goes outside defensive 50. Shepherd, good tackling. Thomas. Sure, the young West Coast Eagles player was going nowhere in a hurry. Ball rolls in towards the centre square. There'll be another bounce. Collingwood, the only goal this quarter so far. They lead by 2 goals. 9 minutes gone. Bounce again, right on the chalk. Maxwell, a big punch. Makes about 15 metres for the Pies. Straight though to Hearn for West Coast. Wobbles a kick towards the boundary. Thomas leading in the race. And he will bump into Jack Darling. They were waiting for each other when the ball went over the boundary. Tim Hodges.
Yeah, Dan, Nick Natanui came off and went straight to the back of the bench. He's had some work, maybe some stitches put into his lip. It looks like his teeth went through the lip, so he's lost plenty of blood, and we probably need a new jumper and new shorts. Plenty of blood on those white shorts from the big West Coast Eagle ruckman.
Yeah, from the throw-in, there's a free kick against Pritis for throwing it. So free kick to the Magpies to Blair. Hand passes immediately to Swan. To centre half forward. Good defensive mark taken there by Hearn. One-on-one there with side bottom, and Hearn wins out. Short pass to Brennan. On his his left foot. Brennan goes down the line looking for Marston, who takes another good mark under pressure. Marston gets onto his right foot and spears the ball towards Hams. Oh, it missed Hams. That was a real let-off there because they looked like they were away and running the Eagles. Now it's Reid cleaning up to Maxwell. Lost control of the football, Maxwell trying to hand pass it. Now the ball in dispute on the wing, and it's a West Coast football. Feeding out a hand pass was Hearn, and Marston involved as well. He gets the hand pass out. Hams, a dainty little kick, maybe a little too cute to be honest. Collingwood will prevail through strength of numbers, and it's Beams getting the hand pass out, and Reid can settle things down for the Magpies.
Kicks towards the wing. Brenner makes a good contest, 1-on-3, but knocked it straight to shore for the Pies. Kicks towards half forward, intercepted by McKenzie, does well. Feeds a hand pass close to the boundary. His teammate is taken over, and that's Rosa, shunted over the boundary at half back in front of the great Southern stand. He's sure right with him.
It is a surprise. It is a surprise Mackenzie's playing on Cloak. You'd think Glass would take on that responsibility.
Shuey on the up receives a hand pass to Rosa, who got bumped now to Prentice, who spins out of a Beams tackle, but it's stuck by Beams. Lynch has it. Shuey kept running as he receives. Kicks inside 50. Chance for Darling. He's at the back. Sits for him. No, he can't control it in the pocket. He has another fumble. Took his eye of it on 2 occasions, right in front of the Collingwood Army, and they're giving it to him at the City end. There'll be a boundary throw in the Pies by 2 goals.
And Harry O'Brien was giving it to him on the field. Throwing deep in West Coast's right forward pocket. They trail by 12 points. Lynch tries to grab it out of the ruck. Couldn't do so. Still fights at ground level. Gets a free kick. He was taken high. And Lynch will take the free kick. 25 metres out from goal. Just right of centre.
What happened there was the boundary throw-in came in. Lynch contested for the ball, hit it straight down, dived back on the ball, and then Clark comes in with his knee into the head.
It was a little reckless, wasn't it, from Clark?
It was.
So Quinton Lynch kicking to the City end, 25 metres out from goal. It starts left, it comes back, it's a goal. West Coast gets there first of quarter number 2. 3-5-23, trailing Collingwood 4-5-29 at the 12-minute mark of the second term.
David, Quinton Lynch has been an enigma in the game. If you track back through his goals kicked and where he ranks in the best and fairest of the West Coast Eagles, he has been outstanding. Yet every time he comes out of contract, key position forward, high in the best and fairest, high goal kicking, there's not interest in him from other clubs. I mean, he has got under the guard of the whole AFL, I'm telling you.
Well, it's a compliment to him, isn't it? Because he's not seen in the light that he should be seen in. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
He's had 10 possessions. He was almost gone in 2010. The whole team had a bad year, of course, winning the wooden spoon, but like a lot of players, reinvented himself last year. Bounce in the middle. That's a nice tap by Jolly. It's shark by Beams. Rolls it around the corner. Wellingham there. Can't control it. Waters stands his ground. Fasolo works him out of it beautifully. How good was that on the MCC member side? Lovely give to Beams. Kicks high inside 50. Oh, what a mark that is. Reading it best, Cloak. It virtually landed in his lap. He read the flight of the ball slightly in front of Mackenzie. Cloak having a good day. Can kick his third, 35 out directly in front. But these are the ones he often misses.
Now, I can guarantee you that the West Coast Eagles coaching staff are testing Mackenzie out on Cloak. There's no way Cloak, 20 metres out from goal, would have Mackenzie ahead of Glass on him in a win-at-all-cost game. Absolutely no way.
And they've both been up the ground too. It's not as if Dawes has been playing back.
So Cloak for his third. That looks pretty good. He's kicked 3 and Collingwood back out by 2 goals. I hesitated slightly. Goal umpire moved to fair way, but a good effort by Cloak. 5-5-35. West Coast 3-5-23 on Grandstand AFL at the 14-minute mark. I remember, David, that Worsfold did this in a match against the Dogs last year when Bulldogs fought back through Barry Hall. Could have had Glass on Hall, but kept Mackenzie on him all day.
Well, that's the argument, isn't it? That Hall, that day, was taken off because Hall ran him so hard and so long and so far that he couldn't keep up. So there might be an argument on his tank. I don't know. He's never looked to be struggling. That final they lost a while ago when they took him off for a rest at one stage seemed to indicate he might have, and that cost them the game. Yeah, interesting matchup that one, and might be the difference between winning and losing today.
Okay, we're in the middle again. Nat Nui winning the tap down to Kerr. Hurries a kick to centre half forward. Hams in front, jumped early, couldn't complete the mark. Ball spills out towards Shaw. When I say it spills out, it was a little quick kick, and Heath Shaw has marked it. Back left corner of the square. Flares it wide to Swan, who marks defensive members wing. As Collingwood just try and hold possession at the moment.
Swan will have 40 possessions tonight, by the way.
Swan goes for a little bit of a meander and then pumps a hand pass over the top. Inside defensive 50 to Maxwell. To Reid, all by hand. Now a long sweeping hand pass from Reid back to Swan as they transfer play to the southern side. And now it's Nathan Brown marking at right half back. He'll kick back to Reid, who marks at full back. The Collingwood fans getting a little impatient here. As just meandering along Reid. He's got some time. He kicks towards Clark. Hands with the spoil. Front and centre was Josh Hill. Clever little kick around the body and having to wait for it. But marking it was Marston. Hand passes to Shuey. He was on the breakaway. But Marston missed Shuey. And the ball has gone out of play for a boundary throwing. So important that hit the target, because if it did, Shuey was lining up for goal on the run.
Opportunity lost. Right on the 50 for the Eagles. It's thrown in. Beams at ground level, gets out of it and gets a hand pass. Kerr misses it. Here's Shuey now at right half forward. Swings a kick around the body. It's all West Coast. Wasn't a great kick, but Hams was on his own. 15 metres clear. Poor marking by the Pies. He'll have a shot on a slight angle towards the city end.
Dane Swan swept 20 metres off that contest and was looking to position himself to win the ball rather than man up an opponent who may be in a dangerous position. So your strength can become your weakness, David, very quickly in this game.
And particularly with him, because he does go one way.
Yes.
So Ashton Hams to cut the margin to a goal. He's kicked one already today, and he puts in his second and his 13th of the season. Great contest here at the MCG on Grandstand AFL. Collingwood of 5-5-35. West Coast fighting back after a sluggish start. They've now booted 4 of the last 6. They're 4-5-29.
I reckon kind of see the same way. Collingwood have structured their forward entries in a much more methodical way. West Coast have often got it on the interception or the transfer of play by putting pressure on and turning anything over. It's gone back the other way. It hasn't been quite as straightforward and methodical on the way in. They've almost got to hold it in and get it on a rebound back in again. They're just, I think, hanging on. I hear what you said before, but at the moment the best football is being played by Collingwood.
Back in the middle, one down by Jolly against Cox. Kicked off the ground, it goes straight into Shuey's chest, who can control it and kick it up towards half forward. Again, Hams in the pack, couldn't take the mark. Williams gets it with a quick kick out of the congestion, looking for the boundary and finding it. There will be a throw-in. Parko, just some interesting stats. Waters only 3 disposals, Selwood only 4, Gaff only 5. Usually big possession winners aren't getting their hands on the footy.
True.
From the throw-in, there's a free kick. It's going West Coast way. Ruck infringement against Jolly. So Dean Cox to take it just forward of the wing members' side.
And yet Beams has had a lot of the ball. It's working in reverse as it did with Judd last week.
Yeah. Cox into the centre square. And it's taken by McGinnity. And he goes short. Oh, through the legs of Mitch Brown. Now he's in trouble. 1-on-1 with Swan. Swan with the tackle. Farming out some sort of hand pass to Waters was Mitch Brown. And they get out of trouble. Out towards Shepherd. Good spoil there. And now there's a pack and maybe a player in trouble. Brennan puts the tackle on. No, there'll be a bounce. So just a little bit of disjointed footy at the moment from both sides at the 18-minute mark of quarter 2. It's Collingwood by 6 points.
Buckley, the man tackled. Selwood received the tap. Good hand pass through traffic to Kerr. Kicks high inside 50. Natanui tried to outposition Reid. Held his ground well, and then when the ball hits the ground, Tubi's right with Nick Nat, tackling him hard. He tried to barge through. He got it out to Hill. Hill squeezes the goal from outside the goal square. Brute streak by Nick Nat. He had them hanging off him, left, right and centre. He delivered to Josh Hill, who is an opportunist. And the ex-Bulldog kicks goal number 22 this season and scores a level. 5-5-35 apiece. 19 gone, second term.
Amazing individual effort, if I saw it the right way. He was the first up for the contest, first onto it on the ground, first to push it out and make the pathway for his mate. I mean, he had 3 score assists in about 3 seconds, I reckon. And amazing, because he lifted up the pack and carried it forward. He's got brute strength now, not just athleticism.
I'll tell you what happened. He went for the ball to hit the deck, he was back onto it. Reed took it off him, and Naitanui took it back off him, and then hit it out.
Unbelievable.
It was a great effort.
Unbelievable.
2 in a row to the Eagles. The score's now level at 35 apiece at the 19-minute mark of the second term, and Cox wins it again to Pritis. High kick towards the 50. Hams! Oh, no mark, but a free kick. Maxwell coming in the opposite direction. Now Hams has hand passed it out to Shuey, who kicks into the pocket, and Darling's marked it. So Collingwood, just at the moment, a little disorganised, and West Coast taking advantage of it.
Been very impressed with Hams in this game, David.
Yes,
he has been sensational across half forward. And I agree with what you said before in terms of fluency with the ball movement. Collingwood have had the upper hand, but that's been the most impressive thing about West Coast. They're out hustling, and whilst it's not fluent, they are getting the score on the board.
Darling from the left forward pocket to the city end. He opens the angle and he gets the goal, and he puts West Coast in front.
David, I want to ask you a question. How do recruiting officers let that guy go through to past the first round? How'd that happen? He was rated top 3 as an under 16.
Yeah.
They talk about off-field stuff. Obviously, no one's done their homework to the level they should have, because it's not as serious as people thought.
Well,
and this guy is going to be a superstar for the next 10 years in a key position role.
Yes, it is an amazing story, but it was, you know, Chris, the background story as a youngster was not good. Hasn't put a foot out of place since he's got into the system now and is playing. Apparently he's a model prisoner and a great club person.
It is West Coast by 6 points with the last 3 goals at the 21-minute mark of the second term.
Talking of Kenny recruiting, they're very good at it, West Coast. Pritis received, he got tackled, lost control of it. Swan a sideways kick towards the wing. Kerr there. Goldsack a bit quicker, which is a good effort. A handball to Buckley. He sprays it high. Thomas camped underneath. Dropped the mark. Slips to Shuey. Handballs inside on the MCC member side to Scott Selwood. Heard the voice of Waters. Tackled. Had support. Cox a give to Pritis. Mown down but gets boot to ball. And Marston takes the mark, still on the wing. Eagles in complete control here, leading by a goal. Chris Marston will drive towards half forward. Natanui's the target! And he got out in front, and in the end you'd have to say that was an unopposed mark in the right forward pocket.
Naitanui ran out 30 metres, jumped at the ball, and there's no one in the history of the game could have stopped him catching that. The only thing that could have stopped him catching is if he drops it himself.
He's not dropping those now. In the past, he's got very clean hands now. He's the most, I think, improved footballer in the competition. I know
that's a great call.
I don't know if he kicks this. It'll be 7 of the last 9 for West Coast after Collingwood left them in the wake in the first 10 minutes. That was as tentative a kick as you're ever likely to see by Nick Nat, and he misses clearly to the right-hand side. The lead, those 7 points on Grandstand AFL. West Coast 6-6-42. Collingwood a 5-5-35, and we're 22 minutes into this opening term.
Hearn was sitting 10 metres back. I'm not sure why Naitanui didn't handball back to Hearn, let him deliver the ball inside 50.
Buckley to kick in for Collingwood. He goes short into the back right pocket to Sidebottom, who marks, and his next kick is a short pass to Maxwell. And Maxwell just puts out the hands. Come on, boys, just calm down, settle things down. We're not going to go quickly here. As Maxwell now has to kick long to a contest on the southern wing. Tailor-made for Cox, really. He goes up and takes the mark uncontested. So the ball is coming back West Coast way. Dean Cox, he goes short. And the mark's taken by Daniel Kerr. Out on the southern side. The Eagles just forward to the wing. No, straight back to the wing now to McKenzie. And they'll try and switch it up here. McKenzie goes into the middle to Waters, who kicks very ordinarily. Straight to Clark now. It's Collingwood on the rebound. Clark hand passes to Shaw. He's got no Collingwood players ahead of him, so he has to go backwards with a hand pass to Swan. Now a sweeping hand pass to Sidebottom. He's kicked to the top of the 50. Clark on the bounce grabs it. Hand passes to Sidebottom. Tried to squeeze a kick towards Dawes unsuccessfully. Eagles with the numbers across half back. They work it out well. They dodge a bullet, and it's Scott Selwood going short to Hams, who takes the mark at right half back. back.
Well, Waters felt responsible for the turnover kick, but I reckon he almost should have been pinned for throwing it as they were clearing it out of defence. Hams kicks towards half forward. O'Brien a big spoil. Opposed to Darling. It's close to the boundary. And Williams heavily escorts Shepherd over the line with the footy in front of the Collingwood dugout. In front of our commentary position on the members' wing. It's going to be a free kick. It'll go Cox's way against Jolly. They were jostling. Didn't think there was much in that. Starting to get a bit of it, Cox. Just one possession in the opening term. Spears it wide to Shepherd. The Mark LaCroix look-alike. He kicks towards centre half forward. A peering kick. Getting on his bike and tracking it is Lynch, but he's well tackled, lost it. Falls to Blair. Now towards Beams. Did well to hold it up. Had players around him. Delayed it and then got the hand pass to Vazolo. Kicks to the wing. No mark taken. West Coast with numbers. Arriving is the veteran Glass. He'll handball sideways to McKenzie and they can slow it down and load up again by going defensively.
I think Cloak is in a bit of trouble after that first hit. He's struggled to get up after this one too.
Now the kick was very ordinary back into the corridor, but it's come back to the Eagles with Mitch Brown. He's hand passed it to Shuey. He's also under pressure with the tackle from Wellingham. The kick to the middle. Swan marks it. Hits the ground running. Hand passes to Beans. He's 60 out. He looks up. He really doesn't know what to do. So he decides to go long, very long, and kick the goal. If there's no other option, you just kick it long towards the goals and see what happens. He's got two, and Collingwood get a much-needed goal. They get within a point. West Coast 6-6-42. Collingwood 6-5-41 at the 26-minute mark of the second term.
Well, it was a great interface, wasn't it? Because he had to hang on. He crapped a bit sideways, forward, held up. They came at him. He got bided a bit of time, made an extra 5. Kick was beautiful. Absolutely over distance and accuracy, timed to perfection. Cleared everybody, and critical goal, Chris, I would think, in the context of this game and where they were. They were fast losing what I thought they'd had control of, and it was just perfectly timed. Great goal from an individual when the team needed it.
Excellent contest here at the MCG. Close to half-time. West Coast by a point. Thomas wins it and gets a hand pass to Swan, who steps through traffic. His kick wasn't great. It rolls to the outer wing. It's taken by Shepherd. Gets West Coast towards half forward. No one can take the mark. Maxwell's there in the end with a lovely two-handed spoil as the ball was dipping. He is so good at that, Nick Maxwell. He finds the boundary on the outer side at half forward for the Eagles, who are attacking the city end. Back into play. Natanui and Jolly wrestling. Jolly wasn't even watching the footy. Gaff Roves, he's been pretty quiet. On the left, he spins a kick inside 50 towards the pocket. Bad bounce for Cox. Taken by the Pies. Handballing in front of himself, Tooby. He got harassed. He went to ground. Buckley lends him support. He got a shove in the back, Tooby. He's told to play on. What was happening then? All the players were confused. Tooby receives in the end, and he kicks quickly, but straight to Hearn. Hearn will kick inside with a foot pass to Marston. Marston quickly throws it on the boot. Kicks high to the goal square. It's all Collingwood. Swan takes another face-saving mark, and he kicks towards the outer side.
And the Magpies are away on the southern side. Loose numbers everywhere. Elliott will be the next in the chain. He marks 4 of the wing. He's got acres of space. He looks up. He sees Dawes in the pocket. Glass gets there late. It does affect the marking option there for Dawes. Now loose at ground level. Dawes slaps it out straight towards Glass, slapped it out straight towards Jolly. Ball's still in dispute. Diving on it, Wellingham. Still going Wellingham. Trying to break the congestion. He can't do so. The Eagles working really well in defence. And it's Gaff who gets it out to Brennan. Hand pass to Waters close to the boundary. Gets tackled. Gets the hand pass somehow to Rosa. And they do dodge another ball at the Eagles under all sorts of pressure. Collingwood looked out. Chris Connolly down the southern side.
We saw
that last kick.
They did, and Darren Clark saved the day. He had 4 efforts. He spoilt the ball, back at it, and saved the day, Darren Glass.
West Coast by a point. Boundary thrown, lands in the lap of Natanui. A hand pass to Shepherd, and running into space. Hill takes the mark, feeds over the top. Lynch is there, has to get around an opponent. Hooks the goal. Puts West Coast 7 points clear right on the stroke of half-time. From one end of the ground to the other. 7-6-48. Collingwood 6-5-41. We've played 29 minutes in the second quarter. What a thriller on Grandstand AFL. Tim Hodges.
Yeah, I'd love to get Parker and Chris's take on Heath Shaw's behaviour after that goal. Absolutely berated Ben Reid down back. So, he may have done the wrong thing, but I'm not sure that doing that on field after a goal is the right thing.
Well, one of the measurements in AFL football is the structure around a stoppage, and Collingwood would be disappointed with that structure, that they didn't have it set up the right way.
Yeah, look, Tim, it's a good. It doesn't look good, but that's been their strength. All the way through their premiership year, they give it to them at the time in the manner which they do it, and that's accepted at the Collingwood. It's their great strength. It looks ugly, but it's their great strength.
30 seconds to go until half-time. What a big 30 seconds it is. A kicking in danger free kick to Collingwood to be taken by Dale Thomas. He goes with the torpedo. It's long. Dawes is there in the pack. Falls to the ground. Collingwood there with Goldsack. Hand pass out to Dawes. Swings it round the body. It's coming back. It's missed to the near side. Through for a minor score only. West Coast 7-6. Collingwood 6-6. 30 minutes. Second term.
Would have been perfect had it scored, and the siren had gone and a couple of points in at half time, because I reckon that's what's the difference between the two. A couple of points.
McKenzie kicks to himself, heads to the MCC member side, half time. Great fight back by West Coast. We've touched on it a few times. They were down 3 goals to zip inside the first 10 minutes. Since then, they have been far and away the better team, leading 7 goals to 3, including 5 goals to 3 in that quarter. They're 7-6-48. Collingwood is 6-6-42. For the Eagles, Lynch has a couple, as does Hams. Singles to Hill, Darling and Shepherd. And for Collingwood, Cloak has 3, Beams has kicked 2, and Alex Fazolo a long bomb early stages for the Pies. It's West Coast by 6 points earlier today. Brisbane a big win over the Bulldogs, 18-6, 114, led all day. The Dogs 7-14, 56. And later on today, in a big day of footy on Grandstand, Port match, context of the top 8. Fremantle hosting Essendon at Subiaco Oval. Very shortly, during our news break, we will have a preview on the race that has definitely stopped the nation, or will be in the morning anyway. Black Caviar from Gerard Waitley. But David and Chris, tell us about a magnificent half of footy here at the MCG.
I will. I don't want to take away from that at all, but just a very interesting, and the siren rang, Scott Selwood, beeline across to Matt Stevick, the umpire, and an earnest conversation about being held, which is interesting, because normally the other way around, I would have thought with the Selwood.
Absolutely.
I thought he was complaining bitterly. Matt's got his hand out, shrugging his shoulders, saying, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but, I'm looking for the other way. But I thought that was an intensity from Scott Selwood, obviously thinking that he's been...
You're not allowed to do that, David.
Well, that's what I thought. And
You'll get fined for that.
Then he apologised. He just lost the moment, and he apologised to Matt Stevick, and Matt raised his hands as if to say that's okay. But if you visualise that, you're right.
Yeah, he
Chris,
should get fined.
He should get spoken to. I think that's an unfair pressure being placed on the umpire. Look, we've seen what we'd hope we see. I reckon we've seen the ebb and flow, if you like, when one team gets hold of it, usually makes good use of the possession time they've had and the opportunity to score. We're running at about 50% on the scoreboard instead of a 3-12 or something like that. We've got 6-6 versus 7-6. About right, I reckon, and that's good conversion. But the pressure's on, and what I've loved about today and love about the modern game, whilst we don't like the tightness with 22 players averaging a 10-metre diameter around the stoppages, and that's real hard work, but the incredible ability, even in those circumstances, with absolutely no time and absolutely no space, can still make a terrific decision, can think what I need to do, having won the ball for a start, and then execute the quick hands to mostly an advantage position, is the great, can I say, step forward. We've got better at kicking the ball, and we know that, and that's been incredibly important in the modern game. But the most important thing is that we get the ball out to someone who does then have time and space to kick the ball where we want it to. And I reckon this game has had the best, I reckon I've seen this season, where the pressure's been on. Happened with Adelaide and Collingwood over there, but the conditions were a bit not so easy to play. The ball was spilling all the time. The control here has been magnificent.
Yeah, look, I'll just mention 3 things about West Coast. The first thing I'll say is that a lot of people in the city of Melbourne, mostly Collingwood supporters, have come to the MCG today and have got a whole different understanding of the West Coast Eagles. And the reason for that's my second point. They are missing some serious players out of the West Coast Eagles. I know Collingwood are too, but they have been able to cover them. Like, if you took Cloak out of Collingwood, they'd be in a bit of trouble up front. But Kennedy is out of West Coast. Their forward line is frightful when he comes back into the fold. And LeGras is seen as one of the great players in the competition, but he's more a midfielder than a forward. He's a bit like Gerard Healy, you know. Gerard was a great forward pocket goal kicker, evolved into a ruck rover. LeGras has that capacity. He's got great running ability.
He's their best forward, I think, isn't he?
Well, in terms of return, he's very hard to match up. That's half his strength. And what I've liked most about West Coast is the way they've hustled around the contested possession, the clearance. They've absorbed tackles. They've given the ball off cleanly. They've had their errors along the way. Particularly Mitch Brown seems out of sorts a little bit, a few of their young fellas. But by gee, they are an exciting group. And with Natanui, Darling, Shepherd, Gaff, Selwood, Shuey, they're just going to get better and better. And one of the key statistics I've got to say is...
what you said, the pressure they put on, the tackling 33 to 24 has been outstanding. That pressure has come by the concentrated effort across the ground, both ends and in the midfield, blokes closing time and space and causing turnover.
And you talk about Natanui as the most improved player in the AFL. They've had a lot of those players that have significantly improved, and Selwood's an example, and Rosa, you can go through a whole host of different players.
We've got the time. One quick one. The Kutafudi's Natanui. I coached Kutafudi's when he was the best athlete. Put him as centre bouncers, he could do brilliant work. Chase round the good players and he could defend it. Bomb it on his head up there, he could do it. And I thought, this Natanui is the same as him. I don't know whether he's ever going to learn to actually play the game, read and get there and be able to impact all over the place. Kuta took a while, and Kuta would admit that. Barry Mitchell and Wayne Britton got hold of him and they taught him what I couldn't teach him. I reckon Natanui in the last 6 months has taken a massive step forward from being a wonderful athlete to being a footballer who was a great athlete.
Very exciting to watch, as is this match. West Coast 7-6-48, Collingwood 6-6-42.
Finish by saying I think West Coast have got a sniff. This is the first game this season at the MCG. They're not going to let this slip. It's going to take a great effort by Collingwood to win this game.
So let's go. Second half underway here at the MCG with the Eagles holding a 6-point lead, and it's Scott Selwood getting the first kick of the second half. A bouncing footy out towards the southern wing. Collingwood though prevail, and it's Heath Shaw getting a kick out wide to Dane Beams, who had 19 disposals in the first half. Beams though, he's held up. He has to kick long to a contest. He wants Travis Cloke or Dawes. Cloke into the pack, couldn't take the mark off hands. It goes out of play for a boundary throw-in where Tim Hodges is.
Whitey the benches for the second half of the Pies. Williams, Blair and Sidebottom starting on the pine for the Eagles. Hill, Gaff and Brennan.
Jolly winning the tap down to Dane Swan. Hand pass missed Buckley. He's got enough time to retrieve the footy and kick it back to Swan unintentionally. Swan kicks long towards centre half forward. It's all West Coast. And a mark's been taken by Beau Waters for the West Coast Eagles.
And he kicks to Marston in the middle of the ground. He spreads well, Marston. Lovely kick. Getting better and better, Chris Marston was a high draft pick. Has taken a fair while to establish himself. He also threads it wide to Gaff on the MCC members side, in short to Shuey. Some talent there. He'll kick towards half forward now for West Coast at the punt road end. Making a good contest, Darling. At ground level, it's rowed though by Brown of Collingwood. To Beams, almost mown down. Defensive give by hand to O'Brien. Kicks over the 10-metre defensive goal square and finds Jolly. Jolly will push it wide towards the outer side, and Swan marks in the back pocket. He'll chip in short to Thomas in the long sleeve, still at half back around the Great Southern stand side. Pies defending at the punt road end, still trailing by a goal. Opening couple of minutes third term. He's in short now to Reid. Reid will handball back to Swan, who knocks up getting it. Averaging 33 possessions a game this year, cornered by Hams. Good enough to give the hand pass out to Jolly, and now his foot pass is okay to Shaw, who takes the mark at left half back.
So Heath Shaw out near the boundary, shapes the kick into the corridor, then decides to change his mind. He looked towards Fasolo, over his head. Cloak grabs on the bounce. McKenzie grabs him. The hand pass squeezes out to Fasolo. Defensive hand pass to O'Brien, who gets away from Rosa. Hand passes to a standing still Heath Shaw, who spirals the ball towards half forward. Dawes in front, can't get a handle on the footy on the bounce. Then picks up at ground level. Good tackle from Glass. Somehow fashioned to kick out to Sidebottom. Weaves the hand pass to Wellingham close to the boundary. Into the pocket. Oh, Goldsack couldn't take the mark. He marked, or he got hands to it, and then it went over and out of play, and he punched the fence. He was so unhappy with it because he would have had a shot for goal if he'd taken the mark.
Another one of the more improved players in the competition this year for mine, Tyson Goldsack. Boundary throw in. Jolly helps it to the back with a tall West Coast. He may have been held too. It's Kerr. Hurries a kick to half back. Shepard well tackled by Shaw. Goes over the boundary. It'll be a boundary throw, and Collingwood supporters baying for deliberate. I wouldn't have thought so. Big tackle by Shaw. Shepard could do nothing else but put it out of bounds. Boundary throw it at half forward for the Pies. Cox rakes it down. Collingwood with numbers. Side bottom. Now to Thomas. Thomas under pressure. Gets around a couple of opponents and then does well to kick towards the goal square. No mark taken. Blair waits down. Puts it towards the goal square and it rolls home. He roved it beautifully. Eagles defences punched it in his lap and he just put it home. Hurry kicked through traffic and they've levelled the scores. The Pies 7-6-48. West Coast 7-6-48 at the 4-minute mark.
It's still the classic of having a big, strong forward who you're terrified to mark against. Both the third man in, both went up and he brought it down in front and give the little fella his tube. It was a terrific gather and a dribble underneath which got it home. But Blair's become an extremely good midfielder, but he's also capable of kicking a goal. What's intrigued me is Beams has dominated. They've still got Selwood on him. Selwood has had very few of the ball, unlike last week where he stopped Judd and had a massive lot of the ball. He's not doing either. Beams is getting a lot and he's not getting himself. Beams
and Swan both with 22 disposals. Cox wins the ruck contest straight into the centre circles as Kerr jumps on the football. Beams grabs him, tackles him to the ground, will have a secondary bounce. Collingwood with the first goal of the second half to lock the scores up at 48 apiece. The secondary bounce. Won again by Cox. And then kicked off the ground on that occasion by Gaff. Straight back into congestion, really. Another little kick off the ground, this time by Hill. Ricochets to half forward. O'Brien first there, though, for the Magpies. Breaks the shoey tackle. And the left foot is a good one to Swan. Now they're out on the southern side, but Swan goes member side with a hand pass to Shaw. Now to Beams. Still all alone is Blair. He should mark, and he does. He was there for about 30 seconds. Swan could have gone to him if he spotted him. It didn't matter in the end when he went member side with a hand pass because Blair's marked it anyway. How did he get out there on his own, Parko?
Well, it's either a massive work rate or he cheated.
No, well, what happened, his opponent slid off him, so at that clearance he swept off, and then another player took Blair, but he hunted the ball and Blair slid forward unmarked.
So Blair for 2 goals in 2 minutes. He's got it, and Collingwood are back in front. 8-6-54, West Coast 7-6-48 after 6 minutes of the third term.
Look, you'll see these types of goals often with these teams because they back in their teammate winning the ball, and they also think if they can influence the play, they'll go to the most dangerous spot to do that. So West Coast Eagles got absorbed to the ball. Blair slid up right behind the clearance to lose his direct opponent and be taken at the clearance by another opponent. But as the ball came into play, Blair slides forward, backs in his teammates. Eagles all hunt the ball, and you see an unmarked goal. But the Eagles will keep hunting the ball because they've been winning those crucial contests.
So Collingwood 2-0. Great start to the second half. They lead by a goal. West Coast led by a goal at half time. Jolly and Cox nullify each other. It spills out West Coast way, but Maxwell attacks it hard. Collingwood with momentum at the moment. Swan unsure who to give it to. Eventually gave it to side bottom by hand, and then to Buckley, a high left footer. His disposal's disappointing, Simon Buckley, and it is going to be out of bounds on the full, just landing over the line. Thought it might have pitched right on the chalk, but just cleared it. McGinnity with the football. Right half back. Great Southern stand side. Hoists it towards half forward. Oh, big mark taken. Swan, he's having a blinder again.
Super mark.
Contested mark. He kicks towards Wellingham, whose opponent overcommitted. He marked as well. Around the Great Southern stand side. Kicks far too close to the boundary. Did Dawes mark that? No, he didn't. Out of bounds on the full. It'll be a turnover. West Coast ball. They remain on 7-6-48. The Pies are 8-6-54 on Grandstand AFL.
And Scott Selwood down behind play. It does look like he's okay, though, as Waters kicks towards that Selwood direction on the southern wing. Up high was Darling. Couldn't take the mark. Hill tried to tap it West Coast way. Now it's Pritis on the bottom of the pack. Ball spilling out. It could be a Collingwood ball. No, it goes out of play before the Magpies could run with a footy. It looked like there were a number of Collingwood jumpers out there that were going to bring the ball forward down that southern side. Throw in on the wing. Cox gets to the front. Lovely tap towards Prentice. Went without it. Quick kick out of the congestion there by Wellingham towards the forward 50. Players charge in from all sorts of different directions, and Waters comes up with a mark. That was a terrific effort from Beau Waters.
Tough as they come, Waters. He kicks West Coast towards the wing. Great Southern stand side. Rosa couldn't mark it. Jolly crumbing it at the front. Handballs to Swan. Gets the afterburners on. Another one of those look-away hand passes towards Wellingham. Good one inside. A hand pass to Buckley. Can he use it better this time? Kicks long to full forward. Not really. Bounces out of bounds at the city end. There'll be a boundary throw-in. No one really to kick to. Just kicked it as long as he could. Not as well as he could have, though. Still Collingwood by a goal. Doing all the attacking in this third turn to the city end. Cox palms it down towards the front of the pack. Shuey leading in the race, but the boundary line too close.
Yeah, look, very similar to the start of the game. Collingwood have dominated the first 5 or 6 minutes here, just like they did in the first quarter.
26 possessions to Swan. Boundary throw-in. Jolly taps it down. Here's Swan again. He breaks 1 or 2 tackles, running around in circles, and on the left, he kicks the full forward. And a fingertip by that man, Cloak. He was just trying to get away from his opponent, Swan. Swung it around the body, and Cloak was in front, arching the back, and took an excellent mark. Looking for goal number 4 to extend the lead to 2 goals.
Too strong for Mackenzie on that occasion, but it was a Mark War second slip catch there, David. It was fantastic. It was a great catch.
Hands up, hands down sort of one.
Just Chris, while he's having a shot, why don't clubs man Swan?
Good question. Well, he's missed the easy one. It was a slight angle just outside the goal square. It's not surprising considering his track record. He should have kicked that.
It's a disgrace.
He extends the lead to 7 points. Missed it easily to the right-hand side too,
15 metres away.
Yeah.
That is costly.
Well, can the Eagles capitalise? Waters' kick was a little dangerous. Glass marked and played on as the Collingwood forwards came at him. So Waters then gets the next one back towards Mackenzie, who marks under pressure. So they're doing it difficultly here, the West Coast Eagles, but they have worked it out okay. Now Brennan with a short pass to Gaff, running the members' boundary, kicking towards half forward. Lynch in front. O'Brien with a spoil. Going in hard there was Williams for the Magpies. Finally picks up the footy. Under pressure, kicks it back towards the wing. Glass gets a bad bounce. Fasolo will collect, and hand pass to Blair. Goes with the walk. Inboard hand pass to Elliott. Kicks deep to the pocket off the side of the boot. Doesn't matter. Cloak's marked it anyway. 25 out from goal on the boundary in the right forward pocket. He'd probably prefer it from here than he did from 15 metres out straight in front earlier.
Almost too far out to run inboard and screw kick the ball, so it's going to have to be a straight kick at goal. Difficult angle.
Deep in the forward pocket. Cloak does kick the goal. That's where he does kick them from. He's got 4 of them. And Collingwood really makes a statement in the first 10 minutes of this third term. They've kicked the only 3 goals and they lead by 13 points. 9-7-61. West Coast 7-6-48. I don't mean to undersell that goal because it was deep in the forward pocket, but he always felt he was going to kick it.
Look, I think Travis Cloak in the last 2 shots at goal has clearly showed why coaches get paid a lot of money, because they have to put up with the frustration, David. That was an incredible goal from the boundary, 30 metres out.
But doesn't think about it. And this is one of our...
Earl Spalding was like that.
He was a bit, wasn't he? That's why we shortened his run up from 28 metres like a fast bowler to 3 steps. Didn't have to think as much about how he was going to miss it, or didn't have to think as long about how he was going to miss it.
One of the great workhorses at centre half forward. Natanui the tap it straight to Thomas. Handballs to Beams. Kicks inside 50. Oh, has that landed in his lap? The great man Cloak. I think it has. It has.
Well, I'd like to see
the accidental mark.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see it again. Explain that, Dan. How he caught it against his leg, didn't he? He dropped it at the top and snapped it up down near his leg.
Well, he sort of backtracked into the pack, David, and hung the hand out near his leg, and you're right, it hung on.
It dribbled down from his thigh to his knee, and he's got the ball compressed against it. I don't think his opponent could believe it.
I think Glass has got to go on to Mackenzie. He's going for goal number 5. He drives it home. He's having a big one, Travis Cloke. King. As far as the new contract's concerned, Collingwood 10-7-67. West Coast 7-6-48 on Grandstand AFL. Hardly been forward this quarter, the Eagles. Pies by 19 points.
Now, Dan, midway through the second quarter, David Parkin said the McKenzie-Cloke matchup could cost the Eagles the game. Cloke has had 3 marks inside 50 in the last 5 minutes and kicked 2 goals, 1.
He's become, well, he hadn't had that much of the ball. He had 4 possessions in the first half, but his 3 goals mostly came early, didn't they? I think he was pretty average, but he's been absolutely dominant in the effect. Remember, the first one came down, 2 had to punch it away from him, which caused the goal at his feet to little number 11. To Blair.
West Coast moves forward. Parko Kerr with the clearance. They've got it to centre half forward. There's a huge pack of players 40 metres out from West Coast goal. Comes out to Nat Nui. Hand pass to Marston. Well read by Ben Reid of the Magpies. Gets the hand pass to Williams. High kick towards half back. He wants Wellingham, and Wellingham marks it on his chest. Cuts inboard, then kicks long towards the wing. Mitch Brown 1-on-1 with Dawes. No free kick. Ball at ground level after no one could complete the mark. And now it's locked up. The umpire circles. He wants to let it keep playing. Kerr got the hand pass out. Oh, look at the Eagles run through here. Brennan takes the bounce. Then gets the hand pass out to Marston. Flat kick towards centre half forward. Off hands. Still a ball in dispute. Darling collects for the Eagles. Hand pass out wide towards Selwood. They're 50 out from West Coast goal. Out near the boundary in front of the southern stand. Players diving in from both teams. Ball won't come out. The umpire waits a long time before eventually calling for a bounce at right half forward for West Coast. 14 minutes gone, third term. It's Collingwood making their move, 67, leading West Coast 48.
Tim Hodges.
Dan, Mitch Brown came off for the Eagles with blood streaming from his nose, took a heavy collision back there on the outer wing.
Jolly to Palm. Eagles have it close to the boundary. Gaff squeezes a little kick looking for Shuey. Good contest though by the Magpies. Williams involved there. It comes out of defensive 50 and Swan on the up with a hand pass to side bottom. Bumbles a kick towards the wing. Goldsack a great inside ball to side bottom. Beams is running now on the wing. He gets held up. Has to get a hurried boot to ball. Waters will chop it off, but he's far too slow. He's tackled at centre half back. He who hesitates is lost. Collingwood fanatical here, and a free kick to the hard tackling defensive forward Tyson Goldsack for the Pies at left half forward.
It's a good call, Dan, before the game that he's a much improved player, Goldsack.
What was he doing, Waters? He just stopped.
He did stop. He got a high.
No awareness.
I reckon it was half and half. You're right. He did have time to get rid of it. He was not correctly tackled.
Goldsack with the free kick. 53 metres out. Kicks close to the man on the mark. Drops a bit short near the goal square. Off hands. And it goes through for a behind. West Coast still without a score in this quarter. Collingwood by 20 points. 10-8, 68, 2-7, 6-48.
Saw something I haven't seen in footy for a long, long time, if ever. Dawes hit Brown accidentally and opened him up. He was really concerned about it. He went down the ground, he hovered over him, turned him around, asked his name. The ball was still going on. The play was going on right in the vicinity. Dawes spent half a minute, 3/4 minute making sure he was okay and called the trainer. I haven't seen that from an opponent ever.
Well, he shouldn't have done it, but the other thing is he probably knows him through his brother.
Exactly, doing the right thing. Hodgie, we've got another blood rule as Brown comes on, but the goal umpires actually alerted the field umpire to the situation with McKenzie.
Yeah, McKenzie offered blood from the top of his head, and it's worth noting Mitch Brown back in the side. He can't take a trick, that bloke, badly broken nose. He's been patched up and he's back on the ground, but he was in a hell of a lot of pain when he was with the Medicos before. Okay, so the quick kick in to Waters. Next kick towards Darling on a searching lead. O'Brien with a spoil. Front and centre was Buckley. High kick back inside the 50. Dawes there and maybe Cloke. Oh, but by both of them was Waters. He's taken the mark, fell out of his grasp once he hit the ground. Thomas was running into an open goal, but Waters a very, very strong mark. He kicks back towards half back.
Again wants Darling. Darling in the pack nearly took it. Couldn't quite though. O'Brien does the fend off. Gets the hand pass to Buckley. He's in trouble. Good tackle from Hill. Rosa collects under pressure. Hand passes to Shuey. Down the boundary. Out on the full. In front of the interchange gates. Free kick to be taken by the Collingwood captain Nick Maxwell.
Stabs it inside now to Marty Clark. The Irishman at halfback. Scott Selwood has had a quiet one. Puts pressure on him. Kick no good. Beams had some work to do. Couldn't take the mark. Comes out to Marston of West Coast. Screws it around the body. High kick inside 50. Nathan Brown opposed to Shepherd. Brown did well. Wins the ball. Nice gift to Jolly. Defensive hand pass Maxwell. Collingwood's defence holding firm. Not giving the Eagles an inch. He switches now to Buckley. Front of the Olympic stand. Runs out of defensive 50. Draws the man. Feeds over the top to the running Shaw. Shaw delivers to Blair. Couldn't take the mark. When the ball hit the ground, he recovers best. Handballed a bit too severely for O'Brien. Arches the back. Takes them on. Finds a way through. Nice give outside to Blair. Stabs a kick towards half forward. No one can mark. Good contest, Wellingham. Great hand side bottom. Now in the direction of Elliott. Round the body. Kicks to full forward. Will it sit up for Goldsack? Goldsack will swing around on the right. Have a shot. And has he kicked it? No, he's missed it to the right-hand side.
Well, he should have centred that ball, David.
Yep.
There was an option there.
Yep, there was.
Marty Clark running down.
And his mate let him know too.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's the Collingwood bit. Don't do as you're told in the team. I'll let you know publicly.
21 points to lead to Collingwood. Big third term. Kick back into play is okay, and it's been marked by Mitch Brown at defensive 50 in the corridor. He flares it really wide, and the mark has been taken by Hams. Out on the southern side. Inboard kick to Shuey. Wants to play on. He does. Hand passing it to Kerr. They've moved this quickly, the Eagles. Next in the line is Lynch. Couldn't take the mark. Spoil was good there from Nathan Brown, and it's gone out of bounds as Shepherd was tackled well by Maxwell. Out of play, right half forward for the Eagles' southern side.
Adam, their intensity, that is Collingwood's intensity, has gone up 10 or 15% this quarter.
Cox against Jolly. Cox again wins it down. Shark by Marston. Hand pass to Shuey. His hand pass was knocked down. Comes to Blair. Breaks the Kerr tackle. Gets the hand pass through the corridor. Collingwood working through the middle. Clark kicks it off the ground. Goes again, Marty Clark against McGinnity. Slides on the foot. He wins it. Then hand passes it straight to Brennan of the Eagles, who hand passes to Waters. Straight to O'Brien. Collingwood could get a goal here because they've got numbers here on the right half forward flank. Collected by side bottom. Kicks the Cloak, who marks in the pocket.
They're all over them.
Oh, it's terrific football to watch though. The ball changed hands, 4 times in front of us here. Chris went from one team to the other under extreme duress of tackle and space. Fabulous to see it. Only the best players can survive and do something constructive with the ball in those circumstances.
Travis Cloak has kicked 5 goals, 2 in this term. His nostrils are flared. He's loving life. He's loving footy at the moment. This is a long kick from the 50. It's close. It goes across the face. In fact, falls just a little bit short. Game on here. Thomas there trying to farm it out. Brennan smashes it over for a boundary throw in, just as it looked like Collingwood was going to get a late chance for a goal. Thrown in. Deep in Collingwood's attacking zone.
4 goals to none for Collingwood. Trail by a goal at half-time, leading by 21. Into time on third quarter. Eagles haven't looked like scoring. Shepherd run down. Falls to Elliott. Hand pass missed the target for the Pies. He goes after it again. But the boundary line's in the road. 25 metres out. From the goal there defending West Coast, they'll get a free kick.
Now consider what you just said, Dan, that they haven't scored at all. They have not scored at all this quarter, and if anything robs your confidence, it's your inability to put something on the scoreboard.
Kerr with the free kick. Kicks it towards the wing. Cox up, can't mark it. Darling, the crumb at the front, tackled, lost control of it. Pies with numbers. Comes out to Beams, kicks around the corner. No mark taken. Buckley does well. Handballs to Fazolo. Bounces it towards the square. Beats them all home. Another one for the Pies. Couple to Alex Fazolo, the West Australian. Collingwood right on top here at the MCG on Grandstand AFL. 11-9-75, West Coast 7-6-48.
Did we leave the end of the second quarter with, we thought West Coast, you said, having a sniff, and I think reasonably in control? What was the dynamic that was working as we finished at half-time?
I thought West Coast had out-hustled them in the first half, had been tougher. The stats back that up. You'd made the point Collingwood had been more fluent in their ball movement. That was right. That's why the scores were pretty much even. But you were spot on about 5 minutes ago when you said Collingwood has upped the ante by about 10 to 15%, and West Coast haven't been able to absorb that pressure.
This quarter, Collingwood has kicked 5 goals, 3 to the Eagles, nothing. Marston with the clearance for the Eagles, kicking a wide ball towards half forward. O'Brien first there for Collingwood. Tackled, but got the hand pass away to Buckley, who runs away. Kick a little dicey into the corridor. Going back with a flight was Reid. He had support from Swan. Tooby was also there going back with the flight. He goes again, Tooby. He's beaten by Natanui. Hand pass to Shuey. Now to Marston to the punt road end. It's a goal he simply must kick. And he does kick it. West Coast's first goal of the second half to Chris Marston. They're 8-6-50 for the Eagles. Collingwood 11-9-75. The margin cut to 21 points at the 23-minute mark of the third term.
Well, you said it, Chris. They're done and buried and gone if they don't score this quarter. I reckon the mental aspect of that would have got to most teams with the rush on that Collingwood have had. Did score that, and it was a great goal. You called Adam at the finish under that pressure. It was a must goal, and he coolly put it through. He has gone to a new level, that boy. I debated for 2 years whether he'd ever become a permanent player, let alone an A-grader. He is a genuine A-grade midfielder.
In his 5th year, and it does take 5 years, David.
Yep, you're right.
He's a top 5 draft pick. Prittis wins it out of the middle for West Coast. A handball to Kerr. Defensive give to Hearn. His pass is excellent towards Darling. Feeds over the top to Scott Selwood, having a quiet one, and he finds Shepherd. He's on the Great Southern stand side. Beans West Coast inside 50. O'Brien easily outmarks Hill, who was just ball watching then. No intent on trying to put any pressure on Harry O. And Harry O will easily run Collingwood out of defence towards the outer side. Thomas! He went up last week. At the back, it falls to Hearn. A hand pass to Selwood. A hand pass to Kerr. Kerr caresses inside 50. Cox may have been brought to ground by Maxwell. Did he get a spoil on it? The umpire said yes, putting his body on the line. Waters, but coming off second best as Collingwood win through Beams. Now to Jolly. Feeds at 25 defensive metre hand pass to Short, who kick slides to Fasolo, marks inside the boundary at half-back.
And Fasolo will go all the way back to full-back. And the mark's being taken by Ben Reid in the punt road goal square. Hand pass to O'Brien, going back with a flight. Dropped it, now under pressure. Hand pass to Reid is okay. And now they work it out of trouble. And they'll get to about defensive 50 with Swan. He'll go with a short pass over the top as Collingwood build down the southern side. The kick towards Cloak. He's out of position. Can't mark. Side bottom there in support at ground level. Beaten by Glass. Got the hand pass away to Hearn. Now to Prittis by hand. Now cruising past is Kerr. Southern wing. A little 10-metre pass to Lynch. And back to Kerr. Kerr takes a bounce. Kerr runs to 50. It'll take his best. He goes long. It is his best. It's a goal. 2 in 3 minutes to West Coast. They won't go away. 9-6-60. Collingwood 11-9-75 at the 25-minute mark of the third term.
He's turned back the clock.
Oh, he has, and he gave it to Cox. He had a look and he thought, no, the distance between me and the goal, even where the run is too far, I'll give it get. He gave it the biggest, slowest Blake on the field. I thought, oh, he'd muck this up. And Cox just slipped it very quickly out of his hand into his pathway again. He tucked it on his arm as only Kerr can do. He was on his limit, and he gave it everything, and it just got over the line. I mean, they're 2 great goals at a time that this team needed a lift on the back of a couple of individual efforts, and they've got it and delivered it. I'm not sure they're back in it, but there's certainly a chance now, and they weren't 5 minutes ago.
Runner-up in the Brownlow in 2005, showing some of that form of that wonderful performance. Cox tried to knock it down, but it's taken by Beams. Kicks towards half forward for Collingwood. Tracking at McKinney defensively. Didn't get control of it. Young Brennan did. He's tackled a long time. Got it out to Waters. Could have nearly been incorrect disposal. Arriving side bottom. Some fancy footwork. Close to the boundary. Runs around. Swings on the right for the miracle goal. Goes right across the face. Squeezes through for a behind. Right hand side at the city end. Margin 16 points. Collingwood are 11-10-76. West Coast to 9-6-60.
And I think Daniel Kerr and Darren Glass, Dean Cox would have been in this situation plenty of times before, and will be leading the charge at three-quarter time to get the mindset right. They're a chance, Eagles.
Turn to the southern side, and Waters standing up again. He's been good in this term. You're right, Chris. The senior players are lifting them, aren't they? They've all really lifted in this last 10 minutes. Waters' kick is not a good one, although it lands to Pritis on the bounce, gets some sort of hand pass away. Swan there trying to bash it away from Marston. Kerr grabs it, goes by the underground, bouncing footy towards half forward. I can come off here. Hill got a really good bounce. He runs towards 70. Will it get to Darling? No, it won't. Low down Maxwell has been paid the mark. He read it well and dived and took catch. That's what it was. And gets the hand pass away to Wellingham. That looked a certain goal to the Eagles.
It would have gone upstairs, I reckon, in cricket.
Darling was all over him like a cheap suit. Why wasn't it 50? The umpire had already called a mark. Kick towards half forward, not out of the Eagles. Attacking 50 yet as far as Collingwood's concerned. Gaff shares it with hands. Kicks towards full forward. Hill can't mark it. Controls it at ground level, but Collingwood have the numbers. Then Darling lays another good tackle. Handballs out to Rosa. Has to knock it on. Chance for Lynch. Q-stick gets his kick smothered. Slips out to Rosa. Can't control it in the pocket. Tackled again. Hurry boots the ball. Shaw's in the way for Collingwood. He'll grab it. He'll get it out of there with a spiral punt. But it'll come straight back. Waters march on the left. 60 metres out. Kicks long to the goal square. No mark taken by the Eagles. Collingwood with numbers. Kick almost half smothered from Reid. Falls to Selwood at half forward. Good tackling Gaff. Back to Selwood. He'll swing it around on the right. His kick hasn't quite got the carry. And it's knocked through for a behind. Well played, Heath Shaw.
I'll tell you what, one more goal and it is game on.
Oh, get this last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. If you want to see something that is just a sensational contest, that's as good as you'll get in footy. That last 2 or 3 minutes as the ball went from one player to another. Super.
That wasn't a mark, David. Bounced before it got to Maxwell.
It did.
Lead 15 points.
Shaw kicks to himself. Real finals energy about this contest. Shaw out towards halfback. Wanted Jolly. Oh, crumbing it really well was Dale Thomas. And he takes 2 bounces. A third as he reaches the middle. Now confronted. Hand passes over the top to Clark. It's an open forward line. But Clark's kick partially smothered by Pritis. Now an Eagles football. McGinnity at halfback. Getting the hand pass to Gaff. Flares it wide to Waters. Waters to the wing to Lynch. The Eagles have got the overlap. He can go to Rosa. No, Lynch decides not to. Now he's confronted himself. He does go to Rosa, but the moment had passed for the fast break. Rosa inboard. It's a little dodgy, the kick towards McGinnity. Dishing out the hand pass to Hearn. Hearn deep to the pocket, wanted Hill. 1-on-1 with Shaw. It goes out of play just as Shaw was about to run clear with the footy.
Oh.
In that situation, Collingwood has been a little bit better for picking the 3-man out.
Last few seconds of the third term. Cox rakes it down. Straight to Beams though. His kick though no good. In the way. Waters, how good has he been? Quick hand pass. Last chance. Hearn's the right man. 55 out. His kick on the siren is a shocker, a floater, a helicopter. Out of bounds on the full from the Great Southern stand side at half forward. 15 points the lead. Collingwood trail by a goal at half time. Kicked 5 goals to none and had complete control of this match where West Coast couldn't score for the first 20 minutes of the third term. They did though kick the last 2, and it's the Pies 11-10-76. The Eagles 9-7-61 for Collingwood. It's the one-man show. Travis Cloke, he's booted 5. 2 to Blair, 2 to Beams, and 1 to Alex Fazolo. Well, for the West Coast Eagles, their goal kickers this afternoon, and they've shared them around a bit. Lynch has a couple, as does Hams. 1 each. Hill has been pretty quiet. Darling, Marston, Shepherd, and Daniel Kerr. That wonderful run around the outer side, one of the highlights of the day.
David, should have Maxwell owned up to it being play on? That's what they do in cricket, don't they? When it was a half volley he took.
No, if you're a great gloveman who played for Australia, you walk or own up.
Yes, is that right?
Yeah, that's most of it. I reckon I had a better view than the umpire had at the time. There's no doubt it would have gone upstairs for a review. And, I reckon my heart rate went to 132 and my hammies and quads are screaming. That last 5 minutes, as hard a work as I've done, as I rode every bump and every hand pass.
You didn't get out of your chair,
No, I was squeaking in the background. I got unbelievable. I think, seriously, that is why I still got I think a deep love of the game, but that's the time and the moments in footy over. We must have got 4 or 5 minutes there of the edgiest stuff that football can probably present, and I tense up with it. You're feeling for the players, you're feeling for the coaches. My heart rate physically goes up, and I suddenly realise when the siren goes, my quaddies and hammies are on, fire. I'm stiff and tight from the from the degree of anxiety that goes with it. Just fantastic stuff. I mean, I just love footy when it's played with that kind of zest and spirit, and amongst it all, unbelievable decision making, unbelievable skill level.
Game still alive. We'll come back to you in a second, Chris. Battle for top spot. Collingwood 11-10-76. West Coast 9-7-61.
Look to rest players from here till the end of the year, and I don't think these two clubs have that luxury, particularly if you're looking to get a top 2 spot and get that home ground advantage.
All right, as we bounce the ball to start the last quarter, who's winning it? Collingwood or West Coast, boys?
West Coast.
West Coast for Chris.
I'm staying with
Collingwood for Parko, and it's the Magpies who go forward through for Solo. Up towards centre half forward. Cloak crashes the pack. Ball spills out towards Elliott. Really not a great kick. Thomas with a big tackle, but the Eagles are under pressure, but they have possession right near the goal line. Kerr tries to kick it out of the congestion, looking for the boundary and finding it at defensive 50. Jolly wanting the free kick.
That was deliberate. That should have been a free kick to Jolly for sure, because there was no West Coast player in cooey of the kick.
I have to speak to Matt Stevick during the week.
50 out from Collingwood's goal, kicking to the punt road end in this final term. Jolly winning the tap down, comes out to Prittis. Hand pass towards Marston, meets the footy. Good tackle from Williams, collected by Swan for the Magpies. Confronted by Prittis. He's got some time. He even takes a bounce, running backwards. Now confronted by Marston and Prittis. Somehow got a hand pass to Williams. Rushes a kick to the 50. Thomas dives. Can't complete the mark. Rosa dives on the football. Ricochets out to Beams. Poor hand pass straight to Prittis. He's at half back. Inboard hand pass to Lynch. Linking up with Glass. Flicks a hand pass over the top to Shuey. Breaks the tackle of Beams. Hand passes to Natanui. His hand pass not good. Cut up by O'Brien. He's in the centre circles. He goes wide. He wants Cloak. Oh, Elliott! And Elliott's taken the mark, going into Cloak's space. But Travis Cloak knew what was happening. He guarded that space and he took the mark.
And on the back, sorry Chris, but on the back of a Natanui hand pass, Natanui actually went for the more difficult one. In the traffic between two, there was a bloke on his own, right lateral to him, 30 metres clear, he would have been away. So his hand pass, great hand pass to Blake, he's under pressure, poor selection.
James?
Look, just on that, West Coast do chain handball out of clearances, but not so much in general play with the Subiaco field the way it's shaped.
Jamie Elliott, what a big moment in his young career. Just his 4th game, big stage, MCG, a chance to put the Magpies 21 points up from 45. I've given it the build-up, he's missed to the left. Only a minor score.
Never in doubt.
Collingwood 11-11-77, West Coast 9-7-61.
Can I just say that I was told by an old wise man, it wasn't you, David, there are some other wise men around, there's a 5-goal rule. So if you get 5 goals behind, it's like you throw everything at the game, 5 in front, drop your guard. And that's what happened midway through that third quarter.
I'm wise but not old. You get it wrong.
Oh, sorry.
Did he coach you for a while, that wise old man, Chris?
Great father.
Great mentor.
Yeah, he was a ripper. Barry Connolly back into play. Here's Kerr, does well at ground level to paddle it on by hand to Marston. He has a run around the Great Southern stand side. 3 bounces, I should say, the members' side. Kicks in towards the pocket. No mark taken, but Darling makes a good contest. Allows Big Lynch through, but he gets taken over the line and a tackle. There'll be a boundary throw in, Tim.
The substitute has been activated for the Eagles, guys. Mitch Brown is out. We spoke before about his horribly smashed up nose. He looks miserable. He's got the red vest on now, and Tom Swift comes into this game.
Gone for some run. Falls to Swan. Kicks towards the wing. Lazy kick. Swan off the back foot. Waters, who's been magnificent, backs into a pack again. He does not flinch. He takes an excellent mark, and then he kicks defensively to Hearn.
Bo Waters, 11 marks, 22 disposals. Hearn into the middle, a little dicey, but Gaff takes the mark, just defensive side of centre. West Coast kicking to the city end or the Ponsford stand end in this final term. They trail by 16 points at the 3-minute mark. Short kick over the top to Seld. Now, Waters has run down here. He's going to go one-on-one against Wellingham. In fact, Wellingham didn't even get to the contest. So Waters has taken the mark. 2 strong kicks out from goal at right half forward. He kicks to the pocket. Oh, yes, strong grab. Taken by Darling again. For someone so young, he's just got this incredible presence about him.
Tuvey and O'Brien are debating was it yours, was he mine or yours? He actually went scot-free in the finish, didn't he? With 2 blokes winging him out on the wings 5 metres away, looking at each other saying, I think he was yours. But they're both pointing at each other.
Yeah. Look, what I did like about the Eagles, the movement in front of the ball was magnificent. They're up and about, the Eagles.
25 out, right forward pocket. Darling's kick is very, very, very good. They've got the margin back to 10 points. Darling's got 2, but it's 3 in a row to the Eagles, either side of three-quarter time.
Probably, Chris, as difficult a kick as Everett had to produce to get Sydney up. It was in a similar sort of position, angle, distance, put it away. That's a great pressured goal.
The big moments in this quarter from here on in that will swing momentum, because these two teams are living off any form of confidence, and what we've seen for the whole game is that once momentum's up and about, it is hard to arrest, because these teams are so good at winning contested possessions continually.
23 goals for the season for Darling. Mentioned earlier, kicked a goal in every match. Doing his job again. Cox and Jolly, they both nullify each other. They're actually watching each other. That's why they didn't get a hand on it. The ball lands just outside the circles for a secondary bounce. Or the smaller of the two circles, to be absolutely precise. Bounce again. Cox palms it down. Row by Beams, another possession. Squeezes the left footer along the carpet towards the wing. Thomas and Waters, two terrific players, pushing and shoving in front of our commentary position. Then Waters lays a big tackle on Thomas. It sticks as it would from Beau Waters, the tough man from West Adelaide. Boundary throw-in on the wing. Cox and Jolly. Jolly is lost. Down to Swift, a hand pass to Pritis. West Coast player got offloaded. Daniel Kerr got some treatment by Thomas off the play. He'll take the free kick on the MCC members' wing. Eagles coming, they're down by 10 points.
Kerr up towards half forward, wanted Shuey, but Blair was there and it's gone out of play. No mark taken by Shuey. Kerr up to 23 disposals and 8 clearances. He's got 5 more clearances than any other West Coast player. Thrown in, Cox grabs it out of the ruck and kicks it inside 50. Nat Nui at full forward, one-on-one with Reid. It clears both of those and it actually goes through for a minor score to the Eagles. 10-8-68, Collingwood 11-11-77 at the 7-minute mark of the final term.
He does have that manoeuvre, Nat Nui, to work you under the ball and then slip back onto it. He doesn't want to do it too often, but it is one of the tricks in his bag.
Yeah, you keep thinking they might be a bit tall down there, but he has got the athleticism, agility at ground level.
7 possessions for Cox. Buckley receives in the back pocket. Clears defensive 50. Cox nearly took a one-hander when the ball hit the ground. He roved it beautifully to Pritis. Sweeping ball to Waters. Oh, he's run down by Elliott. Didn't see him. Umpire claiming he got a 1-metre kick in. Not sure about that. Kept it alive on the paddle to Swift. Pushed in the side. Got it to Cox. Handballs now in the direction of Shepherd. Kicks to the top of the goal square. And that's... He's taken the mark, second in line. They kept that alive, West Coast, but Collingwood supporters bleeding. They felt that Waters was run down and didn't get boot to ball on the MCC member side. I think he might have got a 1-metre kick.
No, your call was absolutely accurate.
Natanui from the goal square. He has kicked the goal. West Coast, 4 in a row. They're within 3 points, right back in it. 11-8-74. Collingwood 11-11-77. 8 minutes played on grandstand. AFL, what a contest.
I was surprised, Chris, to see Nat Nui coming off now. I know the run and they've gone from a tall to a small. That might upset them, but I don't think. I reckon it helps Collingwood, not hinders them, because it's a lack of height down there that has caused some havoc. But he might need a rest. I would have thought not. And I thought their structure for this moment was right. Let's hope Hill comes on and does something.
But I think they're sticking to the plan. I think Jolly's gone. I think he's out on his feet. He's rucked the whole game.
He has.
Cox and Nat Nui are going to keep going at him.
So he's coming off a rest before he goes and does the big stuff.
I would think so.
At the 21-minute mark of the third term, Collingwood led by 27 points. That lead now just 3, and it might be less than that as Swift kicks it inside 50 for the Eagles. Darling grabs it on the bounce. Tuvey may have been into his back. Umpire said play on. Players dive in on the contest. 30 metres out from West Coast goal. We'll have a bounce.
Well, I saw it the other way. Adam, I reckon he was tackled and didn't dispose of the ball properly. I think they'd be more upset about not getting the free the other way.
Jolly versus Cox. Neither really won it down decisively, but it's an Eagles footy. The hand pass comes out towards Marston. He's 40 out. He can't break the tackle from Elliott. Huge tackle from the Collingwood number 1 draft pick from last year. Now a high kick from Nathan Brown. It goes outside the 50. No, it doesn't. It drops short, and Shaw's paid the mark. It went about 8 metres wide and about 30 metres high. It's paid anyway.
Distance, did it? He kicks backwards to the goal square and Swan for possession number 33.
Now, I said Swan would get 40, but he has got them in the back 25 quite often there, David. We don't like that.
I'd prefer if he was in the opposition to be getting them back there.
Slides it wide to Brown. Back pocket, Great Southern stand side. Too close to the line, looking for Wellingham.
I reckon they've got a sniff though, Chris. I think you're right. And you can smell what I couldn't. Better nose for it than I have.
Well, we're not sure yet.
Last 4 goals, West Coast. Cox 2 hands it down as the ball was dropping short. Working hard, Maxwell. Side bottom a hand pass. Beams kicks down the line again, off hands. Hearn is there. Goldsack with him. Boundary throw-in. It's been an enthralling contest.
Now, Dan, there'll be 3 or 4 moments in this quarter that make the difference. Let's see if we can pick them.
Okay, from the throw-in, comes to the back of the pack. Swan swooped on the footy, couldn't control it. Rosa did for the Eagles. Hand passes to Pritis, up towards half forward. Terrific defensive mark by Maxwell. No one stood on the mark, so he runs on and takes a bounce. Kicks forward to the wing towards Cloak. McKenzie with the spoil. Pritis almost collected front of the pack. Couldn't do so. Doesn't matter. It's an Eagles ball anyway. Shuffles out to Rosa. Hand pass over the top. The Eagles are really running well now. Shepherd's long kick towards full forward to the back of the pack. Josh Hill has somehow managed to take the mark. He wasn't really even in the contest.
Well, David picked it.
No, I did not. I was the other way saying this is a silly decision.
Look, Hill looked he's looked sharp, but just hasn't been able to get into the game, and that's footy, isn't it? He comes on at a critical time and is fresher than everyone and gets in behind the marking contest and marks it.
15 metres out. He has got an angle. He leans back on it, but he's got it. He has kicked the goal and he's put West Coast in front. 5 in a row to West Coast. Well, 12-8-80, Collingwood 11-11-77 at the 11-minute mark of the final term. Collingwood kicked 5 in a row to start the second half, and West Coast have now kicked 5 in a row themselves.
Well, Chris made the call. There'll be 5, or was it 4? Four moments in this quarter that would decide the issue.
3 or 4.
Four. Well, let's go for 4. Number 1, Hill's goal.
Look, he just covered so much ground to get near the contest, and the 2 Collingwood defenders forced the Eagle, I think it was Darling, under the ball, and he took a chest mark.
Yep.
He's been a good pickup for West Coast. Tim Hodges.
Yeah, Darren Jolly came off probably for the last time for a final break before running through the last quarter. Nick Natanui on for the Eagles, straight to the goal square, guys.
Dawes missed that one. He was up well before acceptances. Buckley and Swan work well together, and it slips to Buckley. He kicks to the outer side looking for Wellingham. Didn't get a great bounce. Tried to knock it on. Gaff arrives. Held up in a tackle. Handball through traffic. Good effort by Clark, but it's won by Pritis now for West Coast. He's off to the races. Inside gift to Kerr. Farms it wide cleverly now to Swift. Swift kicks West Coast. Inside 50 again, Natanui. Big fly by little Marley Williams. Did well. Rode though by Hams. Hams on the left. Hard on the boundary. He was tucked away and he misses to the left-hand side. An attempted flying shot. He still has a couple of goals, but his team's lead. They're doing all the attacking like Collingwood in the third. They're up by 4 points.
O'Brien to Dawes, who gets there on the bounce. He's in the back pocket. Has to hand pass defensively to Swan. Confronted by Selwood. Caught on his left. His kick is not good. It's to a contest. Hearn comes in for the Eagles. His kick was partially smothered. Picked up by Buckley. Hand pass to Beams of the Magpies. Now Nathan Brown to Dawes. Collingwood under all sorts of pressure. They've coughed it up. Deep in the pocket, Darling. Centering ball. Huge moment in this match. Lynch couldn't take the mark. Crumbs to Dale Thomas. Hand pass missed. Blair goes again. Ducked into a tackle. Umpire says play on. Ricochets to the middle. Now a West Coast ball. Gaff back inside the 50. Hill is there. Couldn't take the mark. Front and centre was O'Brien. Went without it. Nathan Brown's hand pass indiscriminate. Lynch to the top of the square. Natanui dives. Can't take the mark. It's in the goal square for the Eagles. It's a Collingwood football to Swan. Hand passes to Shaw. And Shaw just bashes it as far as he can. And it's been marked by Thomas at halfback.
Collingwood still trail by 4 points. He kicks it wide to little Elliott, who lunges forward and takes the mark. Been a terrific pickup. Elliott on the wing, on the outer side. Pies looking for a way home. Pokes a kick to half forward. Great play by Glass. Came across the path of Cloak. Wonderful mark by the star fullback. And he delivers West Coast to Hearn inside defensive 50 at the punt road end. Kicks down the corridor. Kick over kicks Pritis, but Natanui's there for backup. Sweeps the hand pass wide to Darling. Darling on the right, great kick. Hell out in front of O'Brien. Marks on his chest, right half forward. Scintillating football by the Eagles at the MCG.
Gee, Rodney Eade wouldn't like this, Dan. I don't think Hill was one of his favourites at the Western Bulldogs, and he's now in the Collingwood coaching box, and here's Hill in an Eagles jumper.
Well, he was gone when they got rid of him.
The brother of?
He certainly has talent, Josh Hill, there's no doubt. Just needs to find a role. He's found it at West Coast. He slews that kick towards the top of the goal square, and there'll be a Collingwood mark to Nathan Brown just outside that defensive goal square. He stabs in short to Swan again, with the Pies still behind though.
He gets the hand pass away. Now the long kick towards Jolly is in front. He takes the mark against Brennan. Still at left half back for the Magpies. Coming down the members' side. Jolly's kick is okay, and up and taking the mark is Elliott. He's had some important passages of play here, Elliott. He kicks towards Cloak, who marks just outside the 50 at left half forward. He looks up. Williams at full forward. Blair offers a short lead. Both of those ignored. Surely he can't make the distance from here. No, he can't. It really is a poor kick. Waters will mark on the goal line. And they'll clear the West Coast Eagles. Waters hand pass to Gaff,
who loves to run and run and run. The boy from Carey Grammar. His kick is a ripper. Marking it after presenting well around that great southern stand sider's hands. Stabs it in short to Shepherd. Another emerging youngster just outside defensive 50.
It's so important to maintain possession for the Eagles in their back half and force Collingwood to defend so they can't set up for the counter-attack.
On the switch to Kerr, was confronted, got a hand pass to Waters, who's been brilliant. His foot pass is good to Selwood. Back to Waters, who kept running. Pokes it, kick to Marston. Can't hang on to the mark. Had it taken away by Young, the sub. Handballs to Blair, who lost it. Had a chance to pick it up and does. Now he kicks Collingwood inside 50. Kerr backing back, can't take the mark. When the ball hit the ground, he takes it. Cloak takes him as well on a tackle. 20 out from Collingwood's goal at the punt road end. They want a free kick, Collingwood. They won't get one. There'll be a bounce. The lead is 4 points for West Coast.
Gutsy call. I thought the Collingwood supporters might have conned the umpire into that one.
17 minutes into the final term. The Eagles just in front. Naitanui, third man up, wins the tap. A big, big moment here because it's a free kick. And the free kick is a Collingwood free kick to Dane Beams, who was pushed in the back. There were a sea of players, Collingwood players and West Coast players. But Beams has been awarded the free kick 20 metres out from goal in the left forward pocket.
One of the best players on the field and is a fantastic kick for goal as a rule.
Yep.
He's had 33 disposals. He's kicked 2 goals. He's had a breakout season. And here is a chance to put Collingwood back in front. The kick.
Beautiful.
The goal! Collingwood by 2 points. At the 18-minute mark of the final quarter, it is Collingwood 12-11-83, West Coast 12-9-81. You might have noticed that Young's name was mentioned. Hodgie, Collingwood has activated the sub.
Yeah, they have, Whitey. Sensational call. Haven't been able to break in, guys. Marty Clark is the Magpie off with the red vest. He's had his ribs looked at. He's in a considerable amount of pain on the back seat of the bench. So he is the Magpie in the red vest out of this match. Tom Young in. It's a finals atmosphere, guys, a finals intensity and a finals crowd. 63,000 people here at the MCG. A sensational Saturday twilight crowd. It's going to be a great finish. Good calling, boys.
Thanks, Tim. It has been West Coast quarter. Bounce in the middle. Cox the tap. Swift has been okay since coming on. Got tackled. Had to handball defensively. Scott Selwood runs onto it. On the up to Cox. Cox will kick his team to centre half forward. Gets away from Hill. Big Lynch labouring. Williams, courage coming the other way. Grabs for Collingwood. Then avoids the tackle. Gets on his bike. Has a bounce. Kicks to the wing. Rosa there. Can't mark it one-handed. Good contest at ground level. Goldsack went in. Held up in front of the MCC members. There'll be a bounce. Just slightly attacking side for West Coast, who are heading to the city in this quarter. They've kicked 3-1.
So the bounce just forward of the wing for the Eagles. Cox again wins it down. Kerr grabs it. Hand pass out to Shuey. That was a good hand pass from Kerr. Shuey's kick towards half forward. A bouncing footy. Tuvey jumps on top of the pack. He wants the free kick. The umpire's going to give it here. Free kick holding the football. going against Quentin Lynch, who was a little unlucky. But Tuvi to take it. Guys, thoughts? Unlucky?
He did make an absolute dive over the top. But no,
Okay.
I would have paid the same. I'm not keen on that idea, but he was right.
So Tuvi in the left back pocket actually takes a bounce and transfers play to the southern side. And now it's Buckley in the right back pocket. Kicks long to the southern wing. He wants side bottom one-on-one there with also Shepherd. But Elliott's marked it for the Magpies. Floating in from the side of the pack. Hand passes to side bottom. 3 bounces side bottom to the 50. Kicks to the top of the square. Where's Cloak? No, he's not there. Diving in late with Shaw off hands. It's gone through for a rush behind. Collingwood's lead is 3 points as we tick into time on in the last quarter.
I'll tell you what, Elliott ran 50 metres to get to the other side of the ground, and Waters didn't go with him, David.
No.
He should have went with him initially. He didn't. He coasted, and it cost him.
And I'm sorry that Shaw actually went there. I reckon he could have stayed for the crumb. The big bloke was in for the mark, and he decided not to.
Oh, Hearn's kick held up for a while, just marking Cox in front of Blair. Quick give to Kerr. Kerr kicks to Lynch. He takes the one hand to the cue stick at his 200th. Marking just behind the wing. Kerr kept running. Takes a floating hand pass wide. Kicks towards half forward. MCC member side. O'Brien can't take the mark. Ball followed him. Came back to him. Off he goes, Harry O. Delivers into the middle. Important kick. Gee, Elliott's been enormous this quarter. Slides a kick into the circles. They go for the switch. And Sidebottom accepts the mark. He's had 23 possessions. Kicks his team towards half forward. Wellingham a couple to beat and does it.
Yeah, that's a great mark.
Yeah, it is.
A great mark.
Eventually too good for young Brennan. Right half forward. Kicks inside 50. Swan keeps running. Marks close to the boundary. Fairly acute angle 40 out towards the punt road end.
How many has he had, Dan?
This is 38. Chris.
Had him down for 40.
You did have him down for 40. And it's the courage to run. It's the courage that Waters didn't use, and he is a courageous player compared with Wellingham then.
And Swan senses the game. He's now getting into ahead of the ball now.
Yes,
to create the
picking up
scoring
behind.
opportunities.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
What a player he is. Dane Swan hard on the boundary. Looking to put it beyond doubt. Misses.
Isn't it amazing? Hearn's kick to Cox was outstanding in the last kicking, but no one counts that on the stat sheet.
No.
Kicking him from fullback is quite difficult.
Oh,
with the
God,
press.
it's the job that none of us would like.
4 point lead Collingwood, 12-13-85. West Coast, 12-9-81. I reckon there's still a couple of twists left in this magnificent
Right.
tale.
This guy is a great kick
We're
in
at the-
from fullback.
We're at the 22-minute mark of the final term. Hearn's kick was really precise. And now they flare it out wide to Rosa, who marks, and now to Cox. They've worked it to the wing. Members side. Cox inboard hand pass to Rosa. As it works towards Shuey with a hand pass to Kerr to Cox. Back to Shuey. Now forward to the members wing. The kick towards Pritis is all alone at the 50. He takes it on the bounce. He kicks the full forward. Marston is the man. He gets it off the ricochet. He hand passes it to Brennan, and Brennan's missed it from the top of the goal square under pressure. Minor score. Back to 3 points. Collingwood's in front.
Maxwell's had a fresh air on the spoil.
Back into play. Williams takes the mark. Almost got away from him. He's been very accomplished in defence. Marley Williams. Awkward looking kick, but it comes off to Fasolo. Still behind the wing. Left wing position. One of the MCC members in short. The big Jolly had to will himself to lunge forward and mark that.
Great effort.
Looked like he just wanted to pick up the bed there, Chris. Plonk it there and go to sleep after taking that mark.
Looked like a grade 3 hamstring the way it had been down.
He kicks high towards half forward. Collingwood by 3 points. Cloak arrives, can't mark it. Waiting down, great roving Blair. Has a bounce, 45 out. Can he put it beyond that? No, he can't. He misses everything. Chelsea Robbie right on the ball. Puts the arm out and says, Eagles ball, no score. Collingwood 12-13-85. West Coast 12-10-82. Grandstand AFL 24 gone, final quarter.
The kick back into play has been marked by Rosa, who's all alone at right half back at defensive 50. Again, the Eagles come the members' side. Rosa wanting Cox, who reaches and marks in front of the interchange gates. Waters is running forward, and Waters marks opposed to Fasolo. Wheels onto his left. He'll spear it towards either Hams or Marston. Marston on the bounce. Hand pass was too slick for Marston. Collected by Tuvi. Hand passes to Shaw. Shaw towards Fasolo, who's up in the pack. And Elliott! Elliott again over the top takes the mark for the Magpies. He is announcing himself as a Collingwood footballer tonight. He kicks towards Dawes one-on-one with Cox. Neither could mark. To the spill at Swift. Shovels out some sort of hand pass to Rosa. Defensive hand pass to Mackenzie. And Mackenzie has kicked it very close to the line. For Solo has marked it.
Can I count Elliott as coming on the field as a moment?
Yes, you can. I've already written it down.
He's been sensational.
Inside 2 minutes, Thomas leaps, can't mark it at ground level. It's scrum by Swift. Handballs to Hearn, now to Shepherd and to Gaff. Nice inside hand pass to Selwood, back to Gaff. Now they've got the switch and a player on his own on the outer side. Young Brennan, who just missed before, has a bounce. Monkey's little boy kicks inside 50, Darling up, can't mark it. Reed knocks away late. Natanui pounces, he had a fumble in the pocket, got tackled. Hand pass comes out close to the boundary. Brennan's there again for West Coast. Still trailed by 3 points. Close to the boundary. Great Southern stand side. He gets locked in. Umpire will bounce. He took a long time to bounce it. It was a bit ugly in the end. Should have bounced it a couple of seconds beforehand. It was going nowhere in a hurry. Right on a minute remaining. Collingwood by 3 points. They're 85. West Coast 82.
The bounce at the 50 for the Eagles out on the southern side. Blair there for the Magpies gets the hand pass. Dawes off the ground. Cut off by Pritis. High kick inside the 50. One for the High Flyers. Darling in the pack couldn't mark. Off hands it ricochets deep to the pocket. Hill's there. Hand passes over his head towards a score, maybe even. No, it's out of play. It's out of play. There will be thrown in very close to the behind line.
Bring it home. Bring it home. 38 seconds. Game on the line.
Last chance for West Coast. Deep into attack. Tap down. Pritis held up in a tackle. They might get one more stoppage. They will. There's a bounce. 5 metres outside their goal square at the City and the Eagles.
And the fifth moment's Natanui right now.
This could be his moment, but he's not in the contest. Cox is. He taps it down. He's there. Natanui got a hand on it. Hands is held up. Young's holding on to him. Tooby as well. Another bounce.
Someone from the Eagles has got to go third man in and hit the ball away from goal, David.
That's what I thought Natanui would do.
Collingwood by 3 points. Inside 30 seconds remaining. 20 metres out from the Eagles' goal at the City end. Tapped down by Dawes. Pritis arrives. Shins it the wrong way. Horton ball for side bottom. Hooks it on the left. Clears defensive 50. Thomas is there. Bounces it in front of Glass. Glass comes the other way. One last chance. Hearn is there. Can't take it. Now Thomas has got it. Collingwood are away.
And Thomas goes out very wide, wanting Wellingham. Mackenzie coming in the other direction. It was like a car accident. Siren! Siren! Collingwood's done it. They've held on in a 2012 absolute classic. The Magpies by 3 points at the MCG. Football at its best at the MCG between arguably the two best teams of 2012, even though we're only in round 13. Collingwood 12-13-85, West Coast 12-10-82. The goal kickers for Collingwood, Travis Cloak kicked 5, Dane Beams 3, and 2 each to Fasolo and to Blair. For West Coast, they were gallant, they came back twice, but in the end falling just short. Darling kicked 2, Lynch kicked 2, singles to Kerr, Shepherd, Marston, Hill, and also 2 to Ashton Hams. As it stands, Collingwood on top of the ladder.
What a game. What an atmosphere. And Collingwood prevail. And the Eagles lose another one at the MCG. 9 of their past 10 now. But they've lost no friends with their wonderful effort. They were gone on several occasions. After Collingwood kicked the first 3, you thought this would be one-way traffic. Then the Eagles dominated. They led at half-time. Collingwood's lead was out to 27 points in the third quarter. Eagles cut it back to 15 by three-quarter time and then actually hit the front. It took some Collingwood heroics in the last quarter to get over the line by 3 points.
So Chris and David, at the 18-minute mark, Dane Beams put Collingwood in front, and for the next 10 minutes there was not a goal kicked, but wasn't it unbelievable football?
Yeah, it certainly was. Two well-drilled teams, well-coached, giving off the first option, maintaining possession, pressure all around, turnovers here, there, but then good defence behind the ball. The exciting thing about tonight was that both teams got to play on their merits.
Yes.
So, we saw Swan get 40 possessions. He was always going to get 40 possessions, but West Coast were confident enough that their playmakers could do enough their way. It's just one of those great games, momentum swings. I think from a West Coast point of view, you'd look at the first 5 minutes of the third and first quarters, and when we had the longest breaks, we just didn't get up and about when it counted. But the positive for West Coast, though, the swing momentum back their way. The positive for Collingwood was just the resilience linked into their structures, and to find another young player like Elliott to come on and influence the game like he did, it's just all very positive.
Quentin Lynch has just been carried off the ground in his 200th game for the Eagles. So they cut a dejected figure as they leave, but as Dan said, they wouldn't have lost any admirers. In fact, they probably would have gained admirers from their ability to come back twice after being jumped, and then in that third quarter, Collingwood, Parko kicking 5 goals in a row, looked close to breaking point. 27 points the lead was at Collingwood's, but they just lifted.
Well, you're right. The psychology of it all, it reinforces what Collingwood's doing, and they, I think, have understood that about themselves for some time now. They've been, over the last 7 or 8 weeks, probably the most consistent team in terms of performance all round. West Coast have been pretty good most of the way too. Come here to Melbourne where they've got an abysmal record. Sadly, that'll count as another loss here, which I guess in the big picture stuff's not good. But you'd walk away if you're John Worsfold saying that, given an even break, what, they go down by 3 points. They were 3 scoring shots at least. They've come here and in the contested possession gone down by 7, which is marginal. In the disposal efficiency, they were up by 2% on Collingwood, so in our stats they've used the ball as well when they had the opportunity. And in the tackles, probably down by 1, 59 to 58. So they've matched them basically in all the essential elements of the game. And you're right, I've started, you called the shots about 4. Said, well, number 1 was Elliott coming on. That was a significant moment in terms of a player in his overall quarter of contribution was, I think, significant. At the 6-minute mark, at 12 minutes to go, Hill goal, which was a terrific goal to give them a chance. I think they put them level or in front at that time. And then 6 minutes later, Beams' goal put them back. And as you've said, no other major score from that point on. So it's been an absolute slug, and give it an ounce of luck and a bounce or whatever, or a free kick either way, the game could have gone a different direction. Then Brennan missed one, 3:30 to go. Brennan got one in front. He was running sharp at it, under pressure from behind a bit from the side. We had a clear look at the goal. He missed, which I thought would have been a certainty. That's it.
Let's get down to the Collingwood rooms. This will be a rousing rendition, Tim Hodges.
Boys, we're going to have a chat with Darren Jolly after this song. Here we go. That was some rendition of good old Collingwood, boys. I'll bring you a Herculean performance from Darren Jolly very shortly, guys. It won't be too far away.
No problems. Look, hopefully Tim lets him sit down and do the interview. That was an unbelievable performance by Darren Jolly.
It certainly was. I'll just make one point, that the odds are the premiership team will come from the top 2. The birds are all on top of the ladder. So the 4 birds, and they've all got different nests. Now, what I'm saying is they've all got different home grounds.
Yes, very good
So
point.
the home ground advantage is going to be more significant than most years. You've got to get into the first 2 to maximise your chance of winning a premiership. And it may have been the home ground advantage that was the difference tonight, David.
Well, and the crowd factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And had we reversed the game, and this game with the same players have been played in the West, the ground in the shape compared with this ground, the support base, which is so good, I think does have an uplifting effect. We've been a part of as players and coaches, and we know that.
We've mentioned it many times. Lots of heroes in this match. Darren Jolly was right up there, and he's with Tim Hodges.
A Herculean performance by this man, taking on Naitanui and Cox, holding your own, getting over the line in a thriller. What a game of football.
Yeah, it was. West Coast are a great side, and they played really well today, and they certainly made us earn it. And funny to say that, I thought we were bloody down by 3 points at the end there, but I had to have a look at the scoreboard, and luckily we got up.
How much petrol did you have in your tank afterwards? And I will ask you, that diving mark, you came off, I was right behind you. Did you do something to your groin in that diving mark?
Yeah, my adductor just cramped up right at the end there. I had no idea how long it was to go, so I thought I'd just pop up, give it a rub and go back on, but I didn't know there was a minute and a half to go. I probably shouldn't have come off.
So you were giving the interchange steward grief to get back on, thinking you were down?
Yeah, no, I did. I was. Yeah, I thought, get me back on. We're gonna Dawsey did well, but it's tense times having him in there against Cox and Naitanui. So no, we've got to have a line, mate. It was Levy.
Everyone talked about this as being almost a grand final preview. Did it feel like a massive game out there? I mean, there's a massive crowd. It was an awesome contest, and it must be so satisfying to get the 4 points.
Yeah, it was. Especially after the break. And West Coast are on fire. They're not at the top for no reason, so they've got a lot of good players, and it was a great test for us today, for us to move forward and get towards the top of the ladder. We need to beat the best, and West Coast have showed that they're pretty good. So the boys played really well today.
I said to Darren he could sit down during this interview, guys. He said, no, I'll stand up. We've got Parko and Chris Connolly upstairs. Fire away, boys.
Could I, Darren, well done, mate. My up went out to you a bit. Is that the longest day that you've had in the office since you started to play?
Yeah, it was pretty long.
I can't believe that you did the amount of work for the length of time with so little rest against two of probably the best combination in the competition. Was it as we saw it, or is there some other trick you got up your sleeve?
No, there's no tricks. It's just hard work. I thrive on it, the challenge, and certainly they're the best combination in the ruck, and I really love, testing myself against them and, grinding away, and I thought I did that today.
Oh, you did it magnificently, and you still went forward on occasions as well. I thought, well, if you do it that long, you've just got to come off the ground and have a rest, but you had minimal of a time on the bench.
Yeah, and we try that every year, every week. Dawsey, he's not a genuine ruckman, so we've got to go a bit defensive with him there. So I try to have a bit of a spell midway through the quarter and finish out the quarters. So, but I was spent today.
Darren, I thought you were in all sorts of trouble about 10 minutes into the last quarter, but you got the opportunity to freshen up and were terrific at the end of the day. You're dead right. You're the only one that can take on those two giants. But what's the ideal balance for a ruckman in modern AFL football in terms of centre bounce forward on the bench?
Oh, look, I try and aim for about 80-85% game time. You can't go on other days you can play 100%. It's just too hard, especially against these two blokes. It was testing when Dawsey was in there, but he did well, and I just had to get through.
Boys, Darren's got to go to a meeting. Just finally, before we let you go, everyone at Collingwood loves black caviar. How do you think she'll go tonight?
Yeah, I think she'll get up. I think the boys are certainly keen on getting up and watching it tonight, so I'll be certainly one of them.
Is Daisy forgiving you for giving up that he's got a tattoo on his backside?
No, he loves it.
Thanks for your time, mate. Congratulations. There you go, guys. Darren Jolly, all the Pies heading in behind closed doors right now. So great to grab him for a few minutes.
Good on you, Tim. Well done to Darren Jolly. What a performance it was. Collingwood by 3 points, led by 8 at quarter time, trailed by a goal at half after West Coast kicked 5 goals to 3. In the third quarter, Collingwood kicked the first 5 goals. West Coast was still in touch with the last 2, 15 points the margin at 3-quarter time. And then Collingwood, despite the fact that West Coast were coming, found a way to win. As Adam said, no score. No goals kicked anyway in the last 10 minutes. It was wonderful football. They've hung on 12-13-85. They're on top of the table. West Coast 12-10-82.
And Dan, to make the point on the back of that interview, we all acknowledge that Cloak is probably the most critical person in the structure. Were he not to be available and be able to play for Collingwood, that would be a massive hole. But I quite frankly, at this point in this team's development or working towards being good in September, Jolly's not all that far behind Chris in terms of not availability, and he's carrying a body which is partly injured all the way. To get him up each week's not easy. For what he did today, that's a Herculean effort. And we talked about the kid coming on outlet as a sub, but at the other end of the continuum, the slug all day that Jolly was able to produce, not just a slug, he was very instrumental in the way he set up the play for his team.
It's a massive risk, Chris, wasn't it, to just play Jolly on his own, considering how effective and how good Naitanui and Cox are.
Well, imagine if he got injured.
That's right.
And
yeah, not only for long. He meant just for the day. He got injured
so
today.
Darren Jolly hurt himself.
Yeah.
Gee, I don't think clubs have got much of an option because your second ruckman is usually more of a forward key marking player that can play ruck. You've actually got to play two genuine ruckmen. If one of them can't play forward for 70% of the game, you're going to be one player short on your rotations. So we're going to see clubs take the risk of playing a genuine ruckman for that long. And I think Nat Nui and Cox will learn to work these guys out. So I think West Coast will leave this game having learnt a lot. I think they took a risk on Cloak and would have taken a lot of experimental type of things into the game.
Look, just make the point. Jolly had 23 constructive hit-outs. Dawes had 2. And you go to the other extreme, Cox had 29. And his counterpart, Natanui, had 15. I mean, that is a dominance in getting your hand on the ball. I'm not saying it happened at ground level the same way, but that is a dominance, isn't it?
The thing about Natanui, we measure an effective hit by the wrist being on above the ball, or the full palm on the ball. Natanui usually has his hand, elbow, shoulder, and half of his torso above the reach of the opposition.
But you make a good point about West Coast having those two legitimate ruckmen, because if you look at last night's game, Geelong, it didn't work with Dawson Simpson and Trent West.
You're quite right.
Shane Mumford tried to do it, and he was out on his feet in the last quarter. Now, he's coming back from a back injury, but I guess Sydney's hope is that he can do a full game. Collingwood, Jolly out on his feet. You know, I reckon they're really missing Lee Brown from last year as that utility. And I just think that is going to be a huge advantage for the Eagles in the second half of the year to have that, I guess, that strike force of 2. Maybe Essendon's got it as well.
Yep.
But apart from that, really, it's a clear advantage to the Eagles.
And they've used Lynch in the past. We forget about Lynch and all this structure now. He's not used. He's not required to do that. But if either of those two were to go down, they have a bloke who can play strong forward and be a really bullocking ruckman round the ground.
Can I just ask for Chris and David to comment on Daniel Kerr's game? We've sung the praises of Dane Swan, who had 38 disposals. Dane Beams, 34 disposals and also 3 goals. But Daniel Kerr, he didn't have a great start to the game, but he not single-handedly, but he instigated their improvement and got them back and dragged others with him. He's finished the game with 29 disposals, 14 contested possessions and 9 clearances, which is 4 more than any other West Coast player. I just thought he was just heroic. And I hate using that word, Chris, in footy terms, but he was amazing what he was able to do.
And he would have loved this challenge. I know Daniel quite well. Collingwood don't tag as a rule. They feel they haven't got anyone really good enough to do it, so they take the players head on. At the MCG, leader, big game for West Coast Eagles. Immense talent, super confidence. I remember when Carlton... There was talk of him going to Carlton, and someone had said, they're going for a ruckman, Rob Warnock. He said, well, you tell him, doesn't matter where the ball goes, I'll get it. So he doesn't lack any confidence, I can assure you. And, you know, West Coast always had the edge over Adelaide, and it was Daniel Kerr that had the edge over Adelaide through those Harlequin years that they had. He was a super player in amongst Cousins and Judd.
Can I make one point? You know, the balance of Kerr, you've actually hit it on the head beautifully. Swan gets 10 contested and 27 uncontested. Followed up with Beams, who got 12 contested and 21 uncontested. Sidebottom, the third rank, there's 7 contested, 19 uncontested. You've got to go down and find Kerr. 14 contested, 16 uncontested. He has the balance right, just like Murphy had at Carlton before he got injured. He's got the balance right. But you're going to be an outstanding midfielder. You've got to be able to add both ingredients, in my opinion. We've got to pick some blokes in some team. Hawthorn have got 3 blokes inside. We know who they are, who are just fantastic contest possession, but don't help the team much on the outside. Yeah. So if you're going to play outstanding A-grade midfield, Kerr is your example right now because he can win it inside and he knows when to spread and go hard into right position.
So that means he drags other players with him.
Absolutely.
Which is, I guess, what Pendlebury does. But Kerr's got that ability to do it either way.
And just to add to that, Prittis the same way. Prittis had 13 and 14 uncontested.
Well, Tim's done a wonderful job. He's gone into the West Coast Eagles rooms. Tim.
I've got the skipper Glassy with us, and that was unbelievable game.
Yeah, no, it was a good game of footy. So, certainly it was a game of kind of ebbs and flows. They got on top for a while, and we worked our way back into it, and didn't end up much between the two teams.
You just came out of the meeting. Was it brutal in there, or was it sort of pats on the back to say that was an unbelievable contest?
No, there was no. Neither one. Bush just gave us some feedback and said, as like every game, we did some things really well, and there were some areas for improvement. So, no, look, he just challenged the group to if we want to be there at the end of the season, we've got to find a way to improve between now and the end of the year.
I know we're short for time, guys, but Darren's got the cans on if you want to fire a question.
Well, just David Parker, mate. As captain of the side and the head of the defence, I mean, you said then it was a great game. Is it when you're out there, can people understand that you can actually enjoy that, or is it just hard work?
Oh no, look, you enjoy the challenge, you enjoy the hard work. You don't run around with a smile on your face the whole time, but you do enjoy, and you can really feel the tight game,
yes.
Everyone lifting, and I think tonight, players from both sides really lifted as the intensity went up, and that's a sign of a good couple of sides, I think.
We love watching it because of all the ingredients, and you love playing it for exactly the same reason.
Yeah, exactly right.
Darren, with the Collingwood, you get a crack at them later on in the season.
Yep.
What is the thing that, you're a smart guy, you're the leader, you come off the field and say, look, this is the number one thing we've got to get right next time against this lot?
We spoke a little bit about our ball movement, but look, to be honest, I haven't got a good handle on the game straight away. Apparently we had more inside 50s, but straight away both sides probably walk off and feel like they let the other team in with a few mistakes here and there. But overall, I think we can improve still a lot of areas of our game. So probably our ball movement against them is probably one that we've struggled against a couple of times now.
And Darren, I know time's on the wing, but a quick word on Daniel Kerr's outstanding game.
Yeah, look, he did stand out to me. He certainly stood up when the game got, more intense. The harder it is, the better Kerr loves it, and he's a quality player. I thought Coxie stood up as well, so it was good to see a couple of our senior guys standing up, and that's what we need.
As did you. Well done on a terrific match tonight. Bad luck on not getting the result, but good luck for the rest of the season. You'll be right there. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Darren Glass, the captain of the Eagles. Collingwood 12-13-85. West Coast 12-10-82. Travis Cloak 5 goals for the Pies. Dane Beams kicked 3. Alex Fazolo 2. And Jared Blair 2. For the West Coast Eagles, Josh Hill booted a couple, as did Ashton Hams. There have been unlikely replacements, you would have thought, for Lacroix and Akoski, but done great jobs. Quentin Lynch in his 200th, very prominent early, also kicked 2 goals. Heading off to Subiaco, gentlemen, we've got to get some votes for the ABC Footballer of the Year. It's Essendon and the Fremantle Dockers after Brisbane thrashed the Bulldogs and Collingwood just beat West Coast.
And you don't know how happy the Fremantle supporters are right now. So if they can get the double and get over Essendon, I'll tell you, get down to Fremantle. The drinks will be on everyone down there. Now, 1 vote to Travis Cloak. 5 goals is 5 goals.
Yep.
2 votes to Daniel Kerr. But I give the 3 votes to Daniel Beams because he kicked 3, but I thought he was instrumental in a few inside 50 kicks too. I think his disposal has always been outstanding. Now he's getting more of the ball, particularly around clearances. He's becoming a very, very important player for the Collingwood Football Club.
He's averaging 30 possessions a game, Beams. He's been wonderful over the last few weeks.
And he remains unsigned.
A few people queuing up for his services. I think he'll be signed.
And an extra $100,000 for every game he plays at the moment.
Well, the big challenge for Collingwood is to keep everyone under the salary cap.
Exactly.
Well, they're trying. What a match it was. Crowd of 62,957. Collingwood 12-13-85. West Coast 12-10-82.